www.mixlr.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And speaking of the West Coast, we announced over the weekend on August 1st, 2026, the 213th day of the year, and 213, for those of you that know me, know that that has extremely important significance. 21 is my number, 13 is my grandpa Cavino's number, and when you put them together, you get 213. They've been showing up together as 213 for many years in my life, and so having this announcement, have been working on this partnership for months behind the scenes, and then to get it all ready, set, and release it on August 1st, and then find out that that was day 213. All too poetic, all too God, and all too amazing. So happy to have that announcement come out. We're going to feature and speak on that first this morning. And of course, Murph is with me on a Murph Monday. We are officially in our first full week of August. So welcome to August. At the end of this month, there will be football. And actually, this week, there will be football because the Hall of Fame game is this Thursday, August 6th. So football is back this month. It's back this week. And college football week 0, which is actually week 1, will be with us in just a few weeks. And then most teams will be playing in the first few days of September. So the fall is on its way. Football is right here with us at the doorstep. And you know that football never sleeps here on Wake Up Call. So happy to have those games be back. But it always perseveres here on the show. Of course, you've seen my coverage of the Big 12 down in Frisco, Texas, my coverage of the ACC in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my American Conference coverage in St. Pete, Florida. Last week was the American Takeover. It began with the commissioner of the American, Tim Pernetti, joining me for an all-new Commissioner Corner. And then from there, you got to hear from coaches and student athletes across a bunch of programs inside of the American. Well, American Takeover Week featured the American throughout. However, I'm not done with the American. I had more conversations than I had space for last week. So the American Takeover continues this week and will be featured on Wednesday in a true American Takeover day where the American Conference will be with me, and you will hear from the likes of the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, the UTSA Roadrunners, and the Rice Owls. So we will be in this world of the Midwest. We will have 2 Texas programs and 1 program that hails from Oklahoma. Murph and I here today will be discussing Major League Baseball, a bunch of trades that have happened, the Dodgers continuing to buy more and more of the country away, and we'll get into college sports as well. So with that being said, let me bring him in before we get set with this Big West continuation of the celebration. Murph, how we doing?
Doing well, my friend. It's been a couple of weeks, since we've had a chance to chat on the airwaves. So
Yeah.
I was happy to step aside last week for the American. I know how much that one means to you. So glad to be back, and let's have a little fun, huh?
Yeah, no, definitely looking forward to it, and the American Conference, and having the opportunity to speak with so many student athletes and coaches and tell their stories. It means the world to me. And as I've said on many broadcasts, I was with the American Conference before they had a name and a logo. So, to be with them and to be arm in arm with Mike Oresco, their first commissioner of this conference, has always meant a lot to me, will always mean a lot to me. And with Tim Pernetti now, and having the opportunity to build a relationship with him, continue my relationship with the American, really means a lot. So shout out to the American Conference, and many thanks, and always happy to feature you, and was happy to have the American Takeover. There was no other way to do it. They were a bunch of mini shows, essentially. So it was, where am I going to put all of these elements and all of these pieces? And I thought, why not feature them? Because we instantaneously put out the ACC as they were happening, the Q&As I had with all of the 17 schools there. And with the Big 12, I instantaneously put out my conversations with the coaches, and then featured those stories after the fact as well in a bunch of mini shows that we got to do. So hard to believe that 3 conferences, 3 weeks, it's all done. But Murph, time flies when you're having fun. That is a very true statement. It has absolutely done that for me. And having the opportunity to go to 3 different states in 3 weeks and cover what I got to cover, build relationships, expand relationships. Only good things happened. Only good things will come from this. And I'm just really grateful. And I got to see the Tampa Bay Rays and my brother Jason and got to have some fun with that and celebrate that. It was a Devil Ray night. So not only did I get to see Tampa, but I got to see them in the logo that I love, in the original. I got to buy a bunch of that stuff up. I spent way too much money in their gift shop. I'm happy to say that
Naturally.
yeah, I mean Tropicana Field will firmly keep the lights on for the next couple weeks, thanks to me. But beyond that, it was such a fun trip. I got to eat some really good seafood, and I got a Miami Vice by the water. So I have no complaints. July was arguably the busiest it's ever been for me, which is ironic because I used to do summer league when it was in Orlando, and so that would start me off, and then the ACC and the American. But adding in the Big 12, doing something with the Pac-12, having the ACC, having the American, and then amidst all of this, have a bunch of other pieces going on and preparing the Big West. This July truly felt like it was 3 days, but for all the right reasons, and it's been a true blessing, and I appreciate you navigating with me as we got all the information out, and obviously wanted to make sure we got you back on the show. And perfect timing as Major League Baseball has continued to make moves. Your Mets have made some moves, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are doing their best to buy more than half of this country. I'm going to call the Dodgers the Louisiana Purchase at this point, but it's gotten a little out of control.
Oh yeah, it's getting ridiculous. Obviously you've alluded to it, so I'll mention it. The fact that the Dodgers have traded 3 prospects to the Detroit Tigers for the rights to acquire Tarek Skubal for the remainder of this season. That being said, the Dodgers did not need him. They also did not need those prospects.
Yeah.
Tarek Skubal will reach free agency, and he will sign a massive contract with somebody. Maybe it's the Dodgers. Maybe he enjoys his time in LA and wants to stay. Maybe he goes back to the Tigers because I know there was a sentiment that he really did not want to leave. And maybe it's a go get a ring and come back and help the team out long term, which honestly, that would be very noble of him because those are 3 solid prospects that the Dodgers gave up to go get him. And, assuming those 3 guys come up and are decent for the Tigers and they sign him back, that's a win-win for them. Maybe Skubal goes and gets his ring with the Dodgers, plays half a year there, and then comes back to Detroit to spend the rest of his career. I know there's a lot of people in Detroit that would love that. But the fact remains, the Dodgers too often are just able to get whoever they want. Yeah. No matter what, no matter how much it costs, no matter how many prospects it costs, they can get whoever the heck they want. Yeah. This is why we are going to probably have a work stoppage next year, and we may not have Major League Baseball in 2027. And as a lifelong baseball fan, folks, that would kill me. I cannot imagine. You know how hard it was in the spring of 2020 to not have any baseball until July?
Yeah.
That was so difficult. And ultimately, what the Dodgers are doing is not all that much different than what the Yankees were doing in the 90s. The evil empire.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It really is. The only difference is the Dodgers are probably just taking it to an entirely new level.
Yeah.
The Yankees usually just signed those guys. They didn't usually make too many trades to give up prospects. They signed most of them. Now, obviously, A-Rod already had a contract when they went to trade for him from Texas. wasn't a huge, haul that went back to Texas in that deal because the Yankees took on all the money.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept. Spend all the money, go get the best players, go win 3 championships in a row. Is it good for baseball? No. Is it bad for baseball? Also, no. Is it going to help? Is it going to contribute to a potential work stoppage next year? Absolutely.
Probably, yeah.
We are at the point where the owners want a salary cap.
Yeah.
The players don't. That's the bottom line. Players don't want a salary cap. What I will say is the latest proposal from the owners to have NBA-like max contracts is absurd. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
That will never happen in Major League Baseball. I can understand wanting a salary cap if you're the owners. However, number one, how do you grandfather the teams in that are already at $150 million over what their cap projection is going to be?
Yeah.
Because I think they said they wanted the cap to be like 280 or something like that, like around what the second level of the luxury tax is right now. I don't know, and I will give them credit, the owners.
Yeah.
They proposed the salary floor with the salary cap. You're not going to get one without the other, so you're not going to get a floor without a cap. I will say that because the teams and the floor they proposed like 140 million. There are about a dozen to 15 to half the league that are below $140 million in payroll.
Yeah.
They would all have to spend money. Now, that's going to force the hand of teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, with a guy like Paul Skeens, with the Cincinnati Reds, with a guy like Ellie De La Cruz, with the Tigers, with a guy like Skubal if they decide to try to bring him back. It's going to force these teams' hand. You're not going to see as many Garrett Crochets and Mookie Bettses and Tarek Skubals getting traded before free agency. These teams are probably just going to lock them up because they have to spend the money on somebody. Why not spend it on a homegrown player who's the best pitcher in the world in a guy like Tarek Skubal? Now, to be fair, he's had a little bit of a down year in comparison to his back-to-back Cy Youngs. Maybe Jacob Misiorowski has taken over the crown of best pitcher on the planet right now, but he doesn't even need to be the ace of the Dodgers staff.
Yeah.
They got the reigning World Series MVP on the roster who is coming off a great year, and he's pitching great. You got Roki Sasaki, who's throwing 102 again. You got former Cy Young winner Blake Snell when he gets healthy. You got Tyler Glasnow when he's healthy. Oh, and did I forget to mention there's a guy that also hits that's won multiple MVPs. I think his name rhymes with Bohei Motani.
Yeah. Not familiar. But
never heard of the guy.
Yeah. Is he new?
Shohei,
is he a new player? Did he come? Where's he from?
Maybe I heard he's from Korea.
Is he from Boston? Where's he from?
I heard he's from Korea. I don't know.
Okay. Get back to me on it.
So Shohei's not pitching right now. He's dealing with an issue with his arm. Shohei they still have. Justin Robleski's been pitching great. They didn't need Tarek Skubal. Folks, the rich just get richer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody about this yesterday at my Finning event at Montclair. You can almost think of it as way back when the Patriots had Randy Moss and Tom Brady, that 16-0 team.
Yeah.
Imagine they have Randy Moss and some other solid receivers, and then they go out and get Terrell Owens. They didn't need him.
Right.
They don't need him.
Just went and got
They got him anyway. Because why the heck not?
Because
they got the money. They got the capital to give up.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and the thing about the money is that they they're living in this world of deferred money.
You know how much money they owe to these players that's deferred right now?
I think the Dodgers are
One
hoping that the world.
point 1.1 billion.
Yeah.
Not million.
No.
We're talking billion with a
I-
B, as in 9 zeros.
I'm thinking that the Dodgers are just hoping that the world ends before this comes through. You know what
I
I mean?
also don't know if it's true. I read something, and I apologize for cutting you off there, but I think this is kind of important. I read something about when the team went bankrupt in the late 2000s,
Yeah.
and they end up Major League Baseball took over the team and then ended up selling it to the Magic Johnson Group. They basically got deferrals on um, having to revenue share their television contract until like 2035. That is why their television contract essentially pays their payroll. It's insane.
We're essentially living in this very strange world where the Dodgers have money, but they've also found ways to not have to spend it yet and just kicking it down the line. This is how they bring in all these players. It becomes very confusing to the average fan to look at the contracts of the Los Angeles Dodgers and go, wait, there's billions of dollars on the payroll. And you're like, yeah, but it's not. It is, but it's not right now when you look at the grand scheme of things and how much. I mean, you look at the value of Shohei's contract is $700 million. But this is not what's going out to him on average per year divided by the amount of years that he's in it, because most of it's deferred. You look at the contracts that they have right now, just for sheer total money. The Los Angeles Dodgers contract with Shohei Ohtani, $700 million. I believe it can be more. Mookie Betts, $365 million, $1 million for every day of the year. Yamamoto, $325 million. Kyle Tucker, $240 million. Blake Snell, $182 million. Freddie Freeman, $162 million. Will Smith, not the one that slapped Chris Rock, $140 million. Tyler Glasnow, $130, and he still needs to apologize publicly for that because Will Smith does not understand the ripple effects that caused. Tyler Glasnow, $136.5 million. I'm not saying you can't be wrong and you can't make mistakes, but there's an invisible fence between the person on stage and the people in the crowd. I sit on a stage, and ever since that happened, it's led me to think about a lot of things we shouldn't have to think about. So all I'm saying to Will Smith is there's an invisible fence and an apology publicly that states to people that whether you agree or disagree with the entertainer, there has to be a block. There has to be a wall of division between the stage and the people. It's just a safety thing. It's a very important thing, and I think it needs to be addressed more clearly, because there were issues that happened after the fact, and I wasn't surprised. But not that Will Smith plays for the Dodgers. Then we look at Scooball's $32 million that's now on the Dodgers payroll, and so on and so forth. I mean, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 8 guys whose contracts cumulatively are more than $135 million. This is just... It's money that doesn't make... It's like college sports right now. The money doesn't look like it's real, because when you really break it down and take a look at everything, you're like, there's no way in hell that these people can... that anybody can afford this amount of money. I mean, it's broken down here. I'm looking at another site that has Mookie Betts gets $30.4 million this year and next year. Then he gets $35.4 for the next 3 years. Yamamoto this year gets a little over 16 million. Then it jumps to 30 for the next 3 years. Shohei is making 28 million when it comes down to what it is right now. He's making 28.22 this year, next year, the year out, and it continues on. And then Blake Snell's making 27, Freddie's making 27, Will Smith's making 16, Glasnow's making 32 for the next 2 years. Kyle Tucker, this is crazy. He makes 33 this year, and then it jumps to 81.9 in 2027. And Scooball's making 32, and then he's a free agent. So that kind of allows you the breakdown. But it's wildly confusing, however, within the rules that are currently here in the system that is Major League Baseball, it's legal for the Dodgers to sign all of these players for massive contracts and defer their money and not have to pay them as much. And the guys agree to it. So, I mean, listen, they're looking to make money long term and they're looking to win championships right now. It's worked for the last 2 years, and a lot imagine that it will continue to work. I don't necessarily believe the Dodgers are going to win the title this year. That's my feeling right now.
I hope they don't.
But that's where I'm at. I do want
to. But who's going to beat them?
Right. I do want to go to something
Honestly.
I just want to go and give this, though. I want to give this information here. My gut right now tells me that it may not be them this year. But yes, who's going to beat them?
I hope you're right.
So
I do.
I want to get into some of the things you said. Major League Baseball is the only major sports league in North America without a salary cap. The NHL, the NBA, and so on and so forth, the NFL, they have their salary caps. Now, it's the only league with payroll disparity as well between big market and small market teams that has grown to more than $400 million from the highest to the lowest payroll, thanks to the Dodgers. And to some teams like the Tampa Bay Rays and the Orioles that don't spend as much money.
And the A's.
And the A's. So, and that was the other team on my brain. Major League Baseball has proposed a 7-year term for a new collective bargaining agreement, one that would include a hard salary cap and a salary floor to level the playing field and address fans' concerns around competitive balance. So what does this mean? Under the league's initial proposal, the 2027 salary cap, a hard limit on how much a team can spend on its player payroll, would be set at $245.3 million, while a salary floor...
I thought it was like 280.
Yeah, so this is...
That's even worse.
Yeah, this is as of July 31st. So, a few days ago. So, the 2027 salary cap, the hard limit at the top would be $245.3 million, while a salary floor, which is the minimum each team would be required to spend, would be set at $171.2 million, which makes the floor and the ceiling closer here. Now, no club would be permitted to exceed the cap, while all 30 clubs would be required to comply with the floor. On opening day 2026, 10 of the 30 clubs, that's a third of the country, would have fallen in between the proposed cap and floor. So only a third of the country would have actually met what they're proposing for 2027 and the next 7 years. Based on 2026 payrolls as of opening day here in this year of 2026, 12 clubs would need to increase their payrolls by a combined $617 million to meet the floor. This required increase in player payroll, in part funded by sharing equally local media revenue among all 30 clubs, would enable smaller market clubs to both retain homegrown stars and be involved in the free agency market. The cap figure would require 8 clubs to reduce their payroll by a combined $578 million. Again, these are combined numbers. This is not, because people are saying, well, if it's 245 and 170, how are you giving me numbers that are above that? Those are combined where they need to address this. Now, under the current economic structure, player compensation as a percentage of league-wide revenue has declined for 4 consecutive collective bargaining agreements. Major League Baseball's proposal would result in higher compensation in aggregate for Major League players in 27 than in 2026, and player compensation would grow at the same rate as league-wide revenue moving forward. So a percentage of the league-wide revenue would increase for the players. Now, as it's decreased over the last 4 years, it would increase. Major League Baseball is proposing that players would be guaranteed a 50% share of league-wide revenue, which is consistent with the systems in the NFL, the NHL, and the NBA. None of those leagues have had a work stoppage in the last decade since agreeing to a, quote, 50% split of revenue where both sides are incentivized to grow the sport together, players and owners. As league-wide revenue grows in the future, so will players' salaries throughout the league. So since 2005, player compensation in the NFL plus 252%, NBA plus 233, and NHL plus 167 has grown at a higher rate than Major League Baseball player salaries, which are up 135% over the same period. Now, I do want to make this known here. Since 2012, Major League Baseball has had only one World Series champion come from a bottom 15 market. That was the 2015 Kansas City Royals. between the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL, there have been a combined 20 champions from bottom half markets. The NFL has had 5, the NBA has had 7, the NHL has had 8 since 2012, giving fans in every market the belief that their favorite team can be competitive annually. For decades, there have been restraints in the collective bargaining agreement with the goal of reducing payroll disparity, including the competitive balance tax system, which has been in place since 2003, but they have proven to be ineffective. In 2025, the Dodgers, the league's highest spending club, featured a payroll more than 7 times higher than the Marlins, the league's lowest spending club. Under a cap and floor system, the largest possible disparity would be 1.4 times from the highest possible spenders to the lowest. So 1.4 times as opposed to 7 times. So trying to find a way to bring it all together. I can't imagine that the Dodgers are going to agree to this, and I don't know if the Marlins, the A's, the Rays, and the Orioles are going to agree with this. So, but then on top of all of this, Murph, I go to an argument that I spoke about a couple days ago, and I've spoken with you about here on the show, and that argument is the Dodgers spend the most. Right behind them are the Mets. Spending money doesn't mean anything. So they're saying, hey, the Dodgers are spending all this money and it's not fair. Well, the Mets are spending all this money and they're arguably not going to make the playoffs. They make
You can
the playoffs.
say it. They suck.
But here's the thing. Your top 2 teams that are spending, it's working for the Dodgers, it's not working for the Mets. So it's not simply the disparity of money or the amount of money that one club has over another. It's what you do with that money, the decisions that you make, the research that you take, and running into probably a little bit of luck along the way. The Dodgers are spending the most. The Mets are spending the second most. The Mets are not even a playoff caliber team. The Dodgers, people anticipate, will win their 3rd World Series in a row. So I understand the concern of money and disparity, but I would also argue that if it's just about the money and it's just about who has the treasure trough versus who doesn't, then the Mets should be winning titles too. So it's not simply the money, it's the decisions and the lore. And New York City has lore, right? The boroughs have lore. Los Angeles and California has lore, but more people are going to the Dodgers that are working out than the Mets that are not working out. So it's not simply the money, it's decision making. And the Mets have made some bad decisions with a lot of money. The Dodgers have made some good decisions with a lot of money.
Yeah, and the biggest thing on the Mets side, as far as the decision making, I do think part of their issue this year was letting go of Jeremy Hefner, who was arguably the most widely respected pitching coach in all of baseball. They let go of him. He goes to a division rival, the Braves, who were terrible last year. Their rotation sucked, and pretty sure they have one of the lowest staff ERAs in all of baseball now.
Yeah.
What's the the common denominator? Jeremy Hefner. So that was a mistake. Retaining Carlos Mendoza again was a mistake. Letting P. Alonso walk was a mistake. Trading Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien was a mistake. Part of where I'm going with this is on the president of baseball operations, David Stearns.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of Mets fans calling for his head.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to give up on that yet. He's got a 5-year deal. This is the guy we wanted, so give him a freaking chance. He did get us to the NLCS on the precipice of the World Series. We were 2 games away from going to the World Series and laying the beat down on our crosstown rivals. So, Mets fans, let's not forget about that. Could that have been luck? Absolutely. But it was a good roster. It was guys that were, performing at the highest level, did what they needed to do. We went and got Soto.
Yeah.
That's not Stearns' fault. Soto's been great. The trades this offseason, yeah, those were all pretty questionable. Letting Alonso walk, that was pretty questionable. But the front office is a lot of where the Dodgers pull away from everybody else.
Yeah.
Where the Dodgers are secretariat and everybody else is the field. The Dodgers, run by Andrew Friedman for all these years, make really good personnel decisions. They make great coaching decisions. They have Dave Roberts, who is one of the best baseball guys in the league, who's now got 3 world championships, probably about to be 4, and he's working with a great staff around him.
Yeah.
From the trainers to the strength coach, to the bullpen coach, to the pitching coach, to the hitting coach, to the mental coach, which these teams have. The Dodgers just have hired the right people, kept them in place, and everything clicks. Now, can you argue that it's not fair when they're able to go throw $60 million a year at Kyle Tucker in the offseason? Sure. That's a little bogus.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of other teams that were going after him, offering him 8-9-year deals for $45 million a year, and then he decides to take the 4-year deal for $240 million with the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't need a closer. They signed Tanner Scott last offseason. So who do they go sign? Edwin Diaz, the best on the market. They're chilling around near the trade deadline, don't really need anything. So they decided, let's make a depth move. Who do they get? Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
The best pitcher to walk the face of the earth right now. These guys just get whatever and whoever they want, no matter what. And listen, I can't blame the players. They all want to win a ring.
Yeah.
But don't you think it would be more satisfying to win a ring and beat the big bad Dodgers than it would be to win a ring with them? You would think, right? So, until players realize that and start to just try to go to other teams and win a championship and beat the Dodgers in the process. And listen, I don't care if it's the Mets or if it's the Yankees or if it's the Red Sox or the Twins or the White Sox, whoever. It doesn't matter. Somebody's going to beat them eventually. I don't know that it's going to be this year, but, somebody's got to realize that in order to knock out the Dodgers, you got to go somewhere else. Until these teams stop trading with the Dodgers, and there were so many teams that were getting on the Tigers, and we're like, you couldn't get that kind of offer from someone else, which I know they could have.
Yeah.
You don't have a team like the Phillies who are desperate for pitching help. The Phillies couldn't make that deal. The Yankees couldn't make that deal. The Red Sox, who have leaped back into contention, can't make that deal. The White Sox, who were in first place, well, they probably wouldn't have traded them in the division, but still, why are these teams still trading with the Dodgers? You want to beat them, right?
Yeah.
How do you beat them? By keeping your major league talent, the guy who is arguably the greatest pitcher on the planet, and they trade him to the big bad Dodgers. I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah.
I don't understand why these teams are insisting to keep trading with the Dodgers, because the Dodgers keep their best prospects. Don't get me wrong, Zaire Hope is a good prospect.
Yeah.
Probably going to be a decent big leaguer. But if the Dodgers traded him, it's because they don't see him lining up with their vision. Now, granted, he was kind of blocked in the outfield, but still, they don't trade those guys, man. The ones they do are the ones that they're not very high on that maybe the rest of the league is. And look none of the prospects that they have traded outside of Yordan Alvarez all those years ago have really materialized into anything special. That's the bottom line. So until teams are stop trading with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Now listen, if they blow you away, I get it, because you may not get a package like that from anybody else. but I'm willing to bet that this package or this type of package was on the table to them from other teams. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Well, and that's, the Brewers, the Rays, other teams that are trying to bolster themselves up. Why make a deal with the Dodgers right now? Like you said, the big bad wolf. The deal involved 3 prospects: outfielder Zaire Hope and right-handers River Ryan and Brady Smith, who have gone now to...
Wait, I thought Emmett Sheehan was in that trade.
It says
Was
right
that
now. The package...
was that maybe that was changed later? I thought maybe that was the first prospect deal I saw.
It says Hope, Ryan, and Smith were the ones that were in it. The 29-year-old Skubal, who will be a free agent after this season, as Murph spoke about here.
I must have misread that. My bad.
No, it's all good. So Skubal obviously joins the cast here of Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, so on and so forth, with this Los Angeles Dodgers team. Now, Freddie Freeman had some words. He had some things that he wanted to get off his chest here, so I want to go to what he said. And so he said that he passionately disagreed with the fact that the narrative that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. He said, quote, "It's special, and we're not going to be flippant about this moment in time and how special this group, this era can be in the history of this incredibly storied organization. We're going to do everything we can to keep doing what we can to win the last game of the year," end quote. So Freddie likes it. Why wouldn't he? And,
of course he would. He's got 3 championships.
You got all these guys that are in your rotation, all these guys that are at bat for you. You have the arguable best player that's ever lived in baseball in Shohei Ohtani.
I don't know if it's much of an argument anymore, to be honest with you.
Saying. But, because some people are going to, want to have the back and forth. That's why I say the arguably. But, the reality is the Dodgers have created a super team many years ago. The super team got more super somehow, some way. So now it's a super team, because it was super with Shohei coming into the staff they had. And then they added more when they brought in Blake Snell, made it super, and now it's super because now Scuba.
I think you left out a couple supers.
I'm just saying there's a super or two in this thing, but the Los Angeles Dodgers are in a place right now where people are thinking that they're essentially buying championships, and I would tell you in response that this was the gripe they had with the Yankees. Nobody could spend the money that the Yankees spend. Nobody would do the things the Yankees did. Nobody could get the players to leave the organizations like the Yankees could. Nobody could affect baseball and create such a divide like the New York Yankees under old man Steinbrenner. So, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Dodgers are the new Yankees, and the 100%. Yankees are still spending money, but we didn't have a cap back then, and people complained that the Yankees bought titles. We don't have a cap right now, and people are complaining that the Dodgers are buying titles. And eventually, it'll be another team. It'll go somewhere else. The Yankees haven't won since 2009. The Dodgers didn't win consecutive, crazy years until recently here. So it's not that this won't eventually dissipate and somebody else will start winning and other things will happen. But I do agree with Murph's point of you don't have to trade. No one's holding a gun to your head saying you have to trade anybody to the Dodgers, number one. And number two of it all is, if you are the player, would you not want to beat the big bad wolf instead of live in the house with the big bad wolf? So, I mean, it depends on where your head's at. I'm the type of person where you put me on the worst team in the country and I'm going to work my way with my teammates and my coaching staff to win a title against anybody, as opposed to you put me on a team that's already winning championships with all the flashiness and all that stuff, and I just become like another piece of the cog. My dad told me a long time ago when I was in college, he said, Daniel, you can be successful in whatever you touch. Whatever you go and do, you can be good at it. But my son is the one that goes to the thing that's almost dying and gives it life. I see that more in you than I see in you going to something that's already put together, all set up, and you're just walking into it. I see you as the one that comes in, changes it, fixes it, grows it, builds it, creates it, as opposed to just comes in and it's already done. And I would agree with that. So I would more likely go to the Tampa Bay Rays. I more than likely would go to the Orioles.
Well, the difference is if those teams aren't offering the same money.
Right.
Like if the Dodgers are offering you $150 million more, like it's hard not to go to the Dodgers.
But
I'm saying, like, if you have a team like the Rangers that's offering you the same contract, why wouldn't you want to just go there and beat them? Or if the Diamondbacks, or if the Mets, or the Yankees, or the whoever is offering you the same contract, or very, very similar, why? What are you doing?
Well, and again, you don't have to trade with the Dodgers. And as a player, you don't have to go there. But they're choosing to go into the organization. And the rest of the league, some of the teams are choosing to trade with the Dodgers. So I can't knock the Dodgers for accepting trades that are offered to them and accepting players that want to play for them. That's just the reality. And that's where we are. So again, I would caution the fans that are flipping out, losing their minds, that are not Dodger fans. The Yankees did this back in the day when we didn't have as much money as we have right now.
But here's the difference.
The Yankees made it happen consistently. When you're like, this guy will never leave, that guy will never cut his hair, that guy's never going to wear pinstripes, that guy's never going to shave off his goatee. And look at the Yankees got whoever they wanted, whenever they wanted, however they wanted, every single year. And old man Steinbrenner was willing to spend the money. As I said, if he was still alive, Aaron Judge would have never made it through a season. He would have been signed 3 months before the season started, fully understanding that if he had a good season, the zeros were going to be added to the contract. Steinbrenner didn't mess around, and I respected him for it, but I know that he frustrated people. Now, I think the Dodgers are frustrating people.
But here's the difference between the late 90s, early 2000s Yankees and this Dodgers team. The Yankees didn't defer money. The Dodgers have deferred over $1 billion from these contracts. The Yankees never did that. Look, the Yankees signed all these free agents. They paid them up front. They got their money. Like, if you were owed $36 million, you got $36 million.
Yeah.
Although back then they were never getting that much money, but, you know. But those guys were getting paid that year.
Yeah.
You have a guy like Shohei Ohtani who signed a $700 million contract before 2024, who is making $2 million a year. He is owed $680 million at the end of this contract. Listen, people go after the Mets for Bobby Bonilla on Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yeah.
That is just scratching the surface of these deferrals. Max Scherzer is owed a ton of money by the Washington Nationals. Bobby Bonilla, I believe, is actually owed money from other teams, too. Big Chris Davis from the Orioles is owed money. There are multiple other players that are getting big payments like this on July 1st. Just wait until 2034 when Shohei Ohtani gets his first check for $68 million. Whether he's still playing or not, doesn't matter.
No.
He could have played out his contract and said, you know what? I've done all I need to do. I'm going to go back to Japan and live out the rest of my life. And good for him. He probably will have earned it. He will have probably won 6 or 7 or 8 MVP awards, multiple World Series.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna go down as the greatest player to ever walk the face of the earth, and no one's gonna think any differently of him. No, in fact, nobody blames him for doing the deferrals. People blame the Dodgers for offering it in the first place. Kyle Tucker's got a ton of deferrals in his contract. Edwin Diaz has deferrals in his contract. Blake Snell has deferrals in his contract. Every single one of these guys that they're signing has all these deferrals that they're going to get paid multiple years from now. The deferrals are the thing that is ruining Major League Baseball. It's not the money.
Yeah.
Because the Dodgers, their payroll is $400 million. I want to know what their actual payroll is. Because that's their luxury tax number. If you took the true average annual value of all of these guys' contracts, what is their actual payroll?
Yeah.
It's probably $500 or $600 million. Because Shohei Ohtani is 68 by himself.
Right. I mean, they find a way, and they found a way. They found a legal way to do it. And if it pisses off the other 29 teams enough, or maybe some of those teams say, hey, let's figure out how we can do it. And maybe it becomes a thing like the tush push, where some of the league's like, let's get rid of it. And the other part of the league is like, I think I could use it. So
but the tush push isn't really... The tush push, you could stop the tush push.
But I'm saying who leans in and who doesn't. Like, there had to be a certain amount of
voters.
voters.
The tush push has been a thing for 60 years. The deferrals are only recent. And realistically, the deferrals are a way of getting around... the deferrals are a way of getting around payroll. Whereas the tush push is...
getting
just
around
the
defense. But what
True, but the defense can easily stop it.
What
These
I'm
other
saying,
teams can't stop the deferrals until the CBA's up.
What I'm saying is league meetings where you have to have a certain percentage of the league. So if you have if it's just the Dodgers on their own with deferred and all that they're doing, then they're in trouble. But if it's not, and there's 5-10 other teams that are like, hey, we want to do this, then that may create more of a stoppage in time. Because it's where the league sets up. Like, that's what I'm saying. The tush push needed a certain amount of people to be against it or for it. We need to look at the collective bargaining agreement. And even though these are totally different things, one is money and salary and the other is a play, I'm saying when the league votes, if it comes down to we need a certain amount of percentage to get rid of this thing, will the Dodgers have people on their side or will they not? Avengers Doomsday is coming out later this year. Doom is not by himself. Some of these characters will join Doom in his conquest. Who will join the Dodgers? Who will join Doom? That's how I look at this thing. If there is a big baddie looking to change the scope of things, change our reality, which the Dodgers are doing right now and Doom is doing in fantasy, who will join the Legion of Doom? Who will join those Dodgers and who will stand against them? You knew I was going to bond entertainment and sports. This is what we do. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we will honor the Big West, an announcement we made over the weekend. We will also answer a question of an all too patient gentleman, and that comes from Anthony, who sent us this on YouTube. DT and Murph, do you guys think that the Marlins can get massive returns for both Liam Hicks and Humberto Ramirez, and if they trade Sandy? We'll talk about the Marlins, the team that spends the least amount of money, which is crazy because they're in Miami. But we'll talk about them right after this fast break and after our continued celebration of the Big West joining the Wake Up Call family. Stay with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Hi, this is Chris Rauda.
And Colleen Rakowski from Gray's Craze of Clay.
It's a fun, innovative, upscale catering solution. We've turned eating into a whole new experience. Each of our boards is packed with delicious mix of artisan cheeses. We use premium cured meats, fresh fruits, nuts, and all of the sweet touches that really bring out the best in every perfect bite.
We offer something as small as a grab and go that feeds one, maybe two people, to our large board that can serve anywhere up to 25, 28 people. So we have the ability to really meet and hopefully exceed all of our customers' expectations when it comes to the different varieties of things that we have.
Charcuterie boards or boxes are healthy, fresh, delicious. They're made to order. We're baking the breads here daily. We're baking the cookies here daily. All of our dips are homemade, made in-house. All of our spreads are all made in-house.
When you open that board or box that we have delivered or you have picked up, we want you to know that it was made with care and designed to completely elevate your event, celebration, or meeting.
We've catered parties and events for up to 300 people. So if you're walking in to grab something for lunch or something for date night or movie night, that's great too. Our events go from you eating in the car on the way home to a catering event in a rehearsal dinner or a cocktail hour or a party.
When we do, again, know what the event is specifically for a wedding, we like to schedule tastings so the bride and groom can come in and see what we have to offer, and we can then, as we talk, to try to understand what they're looking for, what the venue's like. We do like to have that one-on-one interaction when it comes to catering bigger events.
Our address is 4599 State Route 31, Suite 5 in Clay, New York. We're on the corner of Route 31 and Henry Clay at Clay Marketplace.
You can order on the phone by calling area code 315-409-4171 or online at grayscraze.com/clay-ny. Come visit us at Gray's Craze of Clay, New York,
where we want you to celebrate everything.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
You know, Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food in our pizza pub. You know, that was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're gonna have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on weck pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game, your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people, that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time, enjoyment, the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and then those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gainpointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
Hi, this is Gina Husted. I'm part owner of Skippy's Ice Cream. The other half is my better half, Don Husted Jr. When somebody comes up to the truck and it's a family, it's nice that the older generation is nostalgic and they can tell the younger generation, back in my day, we used to have the truck around our neighborhood. So now you're lucky because the truck can come to your party, and you're lucky that this truck is at a festival and you're getting to buy the ice cream. And basically we're ice cream that comes to you now, specifically comes to you, not for you waiting for us, we're coming to you. We will do neighborhoods if you have a block party. We do birthdays, we do anniversaries, we do celebrations of life, we do wedding showers, we do festivals, we'll do corporate events, we have a lot of corporate picnics, we have family reunions, so it's a whole wide range of whatever party you have, we'd love to be at. We're so appreciative of the community, always coming up to us at festivals and calling us to have different events. We have a lot of return customers. We always have people coming up to our truck. We're always there for the community. We always try to give back to different organizations and fundraisers, and so I think the community sees that. We like to give back to them. This is where we live. This is where we were raised. This is where our kids were raised. So the community is very special to us. I mean, obviously we've lived here our whole lives, so it means a lot that they come up to our truck and that they choose us, because we're just there to please the community and deal with as many people as we can in this community, because this is, like I said, where we were born and raised. If you'd like to get in touch with Skippy's Ice Cream and have us at your next event, I would suggest using our email, skipthecake, SKIPTHECAKE, skipthecake@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to get a hold of us. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us, and that's going to get the fastest response from us. If you choose to call, if you don't have an email, then you can call 315-456-9750, and we'll be glad to get back to you as soon as we can. Skippy's Ice Cream, the original ice cream truck.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Make sure you head over to GG Cards and Breaks today. And, well, I should say Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. They are closed on Mondays for those of you listening live. You could get closer to the teams you love, the sports you love, and, of course, to the games you love to play. Head over to GG Cards and Breaks and fan that kid spirit. Doesn't matter how old you are, you always can connect with the sports that you love. Open those packs and those boxes while supplies last, and there's always great things in their cases. Things are always changing. You never know what's going to be on the shelf. You never know what's going to be on display at GG Cards and Breaks. It is a fun, beautiful, and really exciting way to connect with people. It's a great way to connect with the community, and I can honestly tell you without doubt that I wouldn't know the people that I know today if not for GG Cards and Breaks. A lot of those relationships were created by the wonderful experiences that I got to have at GG Cards and Breaks. Go over to 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us. And we had a message that came in here that was before the break here asking us about a player that is not on the team, but maybe they were referring to somebody else. But we will get to that in a moment. I do want to once again celebrate the big news of the Big West joining Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Here is my official announcement that came over the weekend. Hey everyone, Dan Tortora here of Wake Up Call and the greater Dan Tortora Broadcast Media family. It is my honor and my privilege, after 7 days of cryptic messaging, to bring you our special announcement here on August 1st, 2026. 8126 will forever be a monumental date in the history of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and Wake Up Call. Because today is the day that I expand on something that was already a piece of an idea that I never saw anywhere else. In my multimedia marketing partnerships with colleges and universities, I've had the opportunity in less than a decade to work with NCAA Division I, Division II, and Division III institutions, as well as institutions within the USCAA and the NJCAA. But I thought to myself, as we created opportunities for single colleges and universities, why not expand and challenge myself even more so
by extending out a partnership to an entire conference. So it is with that news that I let you know that I have the opportunity now to welcome the Big West to the Dan Tortora Broadcast Media family. And in welcoming the Big West to the Dan Tortora Broadcast Media family, I have the opportunity of welcoming their commissioner here with me. And here he is, Dan Butterly, as we make the announcement for the first time ever in this country, an entire conference signing a partnership for a multimedia opportunity to do something unlike anything that's ever been done in collegiate athletics. We make history today on August 1st, 2026 with the Big West. And with that being said, Mr. Dan Butterly, the commissioner, is here with us. Dan, your thoughts on our partnership that starts right now.
Dan, it is truly a great day in the history of the Big West Conference, partnering up with Wake Up Call and you. We're excited to be able to tell the stories of our teams, our student athletes, our institutions, our championships, our programs, all the breaking news, all the things that will happen via this partnership over the next year. Could not be more excited.
And this opportunity will include something called Journey Out West, where I will have the opportunity to speak with every full-time member institution of the Big West, student athletes, coaches, administration, and or alumni from each institution will join me, and we will have equal representation throughout the year for every full-time member. We'll also be doing something called Bold Step Forward, where instead of seeing Dan once or twice a year here on Wake Up Call, you will hear from him and see him every single month as we tell the greater story of the Big West. Dan, what does this mean to what you've already determined the Big West is, which is known as Only the Bold?
Well, it's definitely a bold move for the Big West. We love being innovative and progressive, on the cutting edge, don't mind being a guinea pig, however you want to phrase it, Dan. This is what this partnership's all about. You're going to have access to not only the conference office and our staff, but our student athletes, our coaches, our teams, our athletic directors, and even members of our board of directors to have you ask the questions that you and the nation, our international audience, and our fans are wanting to hear, Dan. So really excited how open this partnership is going to be with you.
And I am ecstatic for this. These are simply ideas that are put into motion, but you have to have somebody jump in the car with you. So to have the opportunity of building the blueprint, creating the car, getting into the vehicle, and having Dan Butterly and his staff join me truly is going to give us the road trip of a lifetime. And it all starts here on August 1st, 2026. Dan, thank you for your bold step forward, your trust and belief in me. And I cannot wait to bring the West Coast to the East Coast, the Midwest, and all around the world as we make this world smaller for all the right reasons with this multimedia marketing partnership between Wake Up Call, Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and the Big West.
We're excited, Dan. In so many ways, we are going to wake up college athletics with this partnership.
Exciting news here on Wake Up Call as we are doing something never before seen in America quite this way in a partnership with an entire conference bonding here with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and my show Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, receiving all of the full members as part of this partnership here on Wake Up Call. They will be featured. You saw their logos. You have the opportunity to now be a part of this connection between the Big West and Wake Up Call, and it's something that is called Journey Out West. Journey Out West will be every single week here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with our opportunity to share with you the stories from Cal Baptist, Cal Poly, Cal State Bakersfield, Cal State Fullerton, as well as CSUN, Long Beach State, Sacramento State, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, and Utah Valley. They will be rotated throughout the year with an equal opportunity to tell their stories
from these wonderful institutions, all in connection with the Big West. And once a month, the Big West Commissioner, Dan Butterly, will join me to speak on the entire conference, the state of collegiate athletics nationally, and so much more. You will find the Big West on wakeupcalldt.com. They're already at the homepage right there on the bottom as a multimedia marketing partner, and you will see plenty from the Big West. They already have their own channel on our YouTube network on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and their stories will be told weekly, Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 7:15 a.m. Pacific Time. So, Murph, we talk about Pacific Time all the time, and now Pacific Time is going to be a big thing here on Wake Up Call.
It is, yeah. I mean, doing a lot. Obviously, most of those schools in California, it's a little early for them. So I think 10 o'clock Eastern works well for them, because it's not too early. It's pretty darn cool. I know you've been talking about doing something like this for a while, and glad to see it finally happen.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic for this opportunity. State-of-the-art partnership, innovative, creative, unique, original. And we are starting on the West Coast. So to be able to do this, I've worked for my show to work from the inside out. So from my community of Syracuse and Central and Upstate New York locally to regionally in the Northeast to then moving regionally to nationally as I went up and down the East Coast, moved out to the Midwest and West Coast, and now all around the world, including our broadcasts that have been connected to Italy, the Bahamas, Mexico, Canada. It's been a beautiful, beautiful ride. We've only just begun. And I cannot thank Dan and his staff enough. I've had the opportunity to be around Chloe and Tom. I want to thank them as well, the board of directors, and of course, the athletic directors and those overseeing each of these institutions, as well as their coaches and their student athletes. This is an incredible opportunity to make history, to do something that's never been done before. And as was said by Dan Butterly, to wake up collegiate athletics and to truly be bold. So he used my name in Wake Up Call. I'll use their tagline in Only the Bold, as I will give you one more piece of what this is truly going to feel like here on the show.
Big West, only the bold.
Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the Big West, you see those logos that are there, 12 institutions making up the Big West, and the Big West finding a home here on Wake Up Call, unlike anything you've ever seen before in collegiate athletics nationally. I am very blessed, honored, and privileged to be able to bring this moment to you, and I'm extremely grateful to God above all. I'm grateful to everyone who has supported me and been there for me. And I also want to, of course, thank the Big West for something we've been working on for a while now. And to be able to bring this to life, to bring their logo, their essence, their feel, what it means to be bold. This is, like I said, truly embodying their tagline, Only the Bold. Because only the bold would do something that's never been done before. Only the bold would be innovative and creative and step into territory that's never been touched. Only the bold would bring something to reality that doesn't previously exist. So I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to be working with the Big West Conference, and I cannot wait to make my world even smaller. I asked God a long time ago to help me to truly be able to connect with people all over the world and make my world small. And he took the West Coast, pulled it forward, and put it right at my doorstep. And I will honor that, I will respect that, and I will treat that with dignity and grace. There's a lot to come on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I am outrageously excited. So
it's pretty darn cool, my friend. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. Let's get back into baseball here. We have the Marlins question that came up from a Marlins fan, I'm guessing Anthony is. He asked us about Liam Hicks and Humberto Ramirez, which we believe he meant to say Agustin Ramirez, but he said, can they get massive returns for Liam Hicks and Agustin Ramirez, and if they were to trade Sandy? So Murph, I'll send it to you. He essentially wants to know what the Marlins can get if they were to make some moves here.
So first off, I don't think any of those guys are going to get traded. Sandy's the most likely, but I do see, especially with the possibility of a salary floor coming, I don't know that the Marlins are going to trade Sandy, and I just want to double check when he is a free agent. I think it's after next year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because I think he signed a very team-friendly extension early in his career. I just want to double check on that. Yeah, I believe he signed a very team-friendly extension early in his career. I don't see Sandy being traded. However, this time last year, his value was like in the toilet. Like his value was gone. But since the trade deadline last year, he has reestablished himself as probably one of the 10 best pitchers in baseball. I do think they would get a very good return for him. Do I think they trade him today? You know, also, I didn't say it at the top of the show. I wish I did. Happy trade deadline day, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a couple of deals that we haven't really talked about yet. I know Jerry, being a big Phillies fan, has seen his team make a couple of trades this morning that I'm sure he's happy about, that we could talk about later. But as far as Sandy goes, the Phillies do make sense. I wouldn't put it past the Marlins to trade him to the Phillies. I think you probably have to start that deal with Aiden Miller or Andrew Painter to even have a chance to get him. I mean, dare I say the Yankees? Dare I say the Cubs? You know, I know the Cubs are looking for pitching. I know the Phillies are looking for pitching. I don't think they move him. There's been talk about it for years. But he has definitely reestablished himself. And, you know, has he been incredible this year? No.
Yeah.
But like I said, he has reestablished himself as a top of the rotation arm in baseball. So I do think they would get a very nice return for him. I'm thinking he meant Agustin Ramirez. I'm not 100% sure. I do apologize because I tried to, because I didn't know who that was, and then I'm looking it up and I'm like, that name does not sound familiar, and sure enough, it wasn't. So, you know, if Anthony, if you are still listening and you wanted to clarify that for us, that'd be amazing. Agustin Ramirez, though, had a rough start to the year, was sent to the minor leagues. Don't think he's going to get traded. He was one of the big pieces in a trade with the Yankees. I'm trying to remember who they got. Oh, that was the Jazz Chisholm trade that they picked up 2 years ago from the Yankees in the Jazz Chisholm deal. He had a great year last year, and he kind of came up. You know, this year wasn't having a great start, got sent down, and Liam Hicks kind of burst onto the scene and has quietly had, and I got to double check my dynasty team because I have him as my starting catcher, and I want to make sure I get this right. 282 average, 14 home runs, 62 RBI in 102 games played. The kid can hit, and he's not that young either. He's only 27, and he's a rookie. So I do not think that the Marlins should trade Liam Hicks. Do I think they would get a massive return? No. Do I think they would get a solid return? Yeah, probably. But you have to keep in mind, he is a rookie. He is not a guy that, you know, has a proven track record. These teams don't typically trade top prospects for guys without a proven track record. So a guy like Sandy, sure. But Liam Hicks has been great. I think it would be foolish of the Marlins to trade him at this point because you can't just trade all the talented players that you have, especially when this team is only a handful of games out of a wild card spot. So if I'm Miami Marlins, I am not selling right now. I am potentially looking at buying because the National League is wide open. You can easily sneak into the playoffs, and that's, when you got Sandy Alcantara at the top of your rotation, there's always some, that's always a good thing. He's, outside of the Tommy John, he's been one of the most durable starting pitchers in baseball. I think he leads the league in complete games over the last 5 years, or 4 to 5 years, which is not very many. But Sandy's great. Maybe they move him. They've been talking about it for the last 3 years. I'm glad they didn't do it last year because they would have gotten nothing for him. But his market's still not where it was when he won the Cy Young. But they could still get a pretty nice return for him. And I want to double check it one more time. I'm pretty sure he's a free agent after next year. Let me see. He has a $21 million club option for 2027, so he'll be a free agent after next year. Because there is no world where the Marlins do not pick up that club option.
Yeah.
That is a very team friendly $21 million for him to be pitching under. So you're still a year away from free agency with him. I do not expect them to trade him, although if they do, there's a lot of teams that would be interested. I know the Yankees would be interested. I know the Cubs would be interested. Milwaukee would be interested. The Phillies would be interested. I imagine even after Freddie Peralta getting traded there, I imagine the Rays would still be interested. So I think Sandy's the most likely to go. I think they'd be foolish to trade either of the other two because they're still young. But as far as massive return, Sandy's probably going to get a decent return, and then the other two I don't think would get a big return.
Yeah, I mean, we look at it, like you brought up Liam Hicks, so far this season, 101 games played, 354 at-bats, he has 54 runs, he has 100 hits, and we're seeing the fact that, his average right now is 282 currently, and as he's walked 40 times, he's been struck out 39 times, he's stolen 3 bases. This is where we're at when we look at the grand scheme of things. His RBI's 62 on the season so far for the catcher. As far as Alcantara, as you mentioned, when we look at what Sandy's been able to do this year and where he's at, his ERA is under 4 right now. And with the ERA that he currently has for Alcantara, we're looking at, I believe it's 3.62, 3.68. So he's pitched over 155 innings, 147 hits, and we've seen 17 home runs off of him in almost 160 innings, 41 walks in almost 160 innings, and in almost 160 innings, 120 strikeouts. So there's something to be said about that. And like I stated, his ERA 3.68. He currently has a record of 12-6 on the season, and the Marlins are very much in the hunt right now to make it to the postseason. They're only a game and a half behind the Philadelphia Phillies in the National League East currently. As we look at the fact that the Braves are in first place, the Phillies are 8 games behind the Braves. The Marlins are 9.5 games behind the Braves, meaning they are 1.5 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies. So trading away your big-time hitter and catcher and trading away your ace doesn't really make sense, especially right now with where the Marlins are at. The fact that they started the season off pretty well and they've continued to do well. They do have a winning record right now with 58 wins to 55 losses. And as you're in the hunt in the second half of the season to make the postseason, I would imagine you don't want to get rid of your 2 anchors that you essentially have right now.
Yeah, I think it would be foolish on their part to do that, although it would be a very Marlins thing to do. But they've held off trading Sandy Alcantara all these years. Why would you want to trade him now when you're potentially making a push at the postseason?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
I do want to make a note here of some of the moves that have happened, though. The Toronto Blue Jays acquiring right-hand pitcher Jose Soriano in a trade with the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels will receive top shortstop prospect Namala, outfielder Micheletti, and
I can't help you with these ones, but I'm sorry.
And right-hander Rivero from the Blue Jays. Now, Soriano is 27 years old. He's under club control through 2028. He was the pitching story of April after he started the season by giving up 1 run in his first 37 2/3 innings, but he struggled since and has had a 4.64 ERA over his next 16 starts. He was scratched from his scheduled start Saturday, with the Angels saying they were taking a, quote, prudent approach, end quote, prior to the trade deadline. Soriano set career highs in 2025 with 31 starts, 169 innings pitched, but he still finished with an ERA over 4 at 4.26 and an elevated whip at 1.40, with his walk rate soaring to 10.8%. So I say all this stuff to you, and it sounds like the Blue Jays are not getting any help, but he did have some good moments before he had the struggling ones. Hopefully things will get better. Jose Soriano heading to the Blue Jays for prospects. And then we do have Murph's Mets that have made a decision here recently. And as we get into one of those decisions that was made, we jump right into the fact that the Mets decided to make a deal in acquiring Peralta, going from the Mets to the Rays. And as we take a look at that, as Murph alluded to it, the Tampa Bay Rays acquired right-handed pitcher Freddie Peralta in a trade with the New York Mets in exchange for 3 minor leaguers. Those minor leaguers, so Peralta will join, Drew Rasmussen, as well as Shane McClanahan and Nick Martinez in one of the American League's best rotations, as the first-place Rays try to hold off the Yankees and the Red Sox to look to win the pennant. In return, the Mets will receive outfielder Aiden Smith, infielder Emilian Petre, and right-hander Gary Gill Hill, which is an interesting name. So they will bring in those 3. And so the statement that we got here from Rays president of basketball operations, Eric Neander, said, quote, "Freddie is a proven major league starter with high-stakes experience and a strong track record. Adding a pitcher and competitor of his caliber strengthens our team as we push forward," end quote. So this deal reached the Mets dugout during their 2-0 loss to the Miami Marlins at Citi Field. New York interim manager Andy Green said Peralta stepped out to receive word and did not return. And that will conclude his time in Queens. So as that has happened here, I would love to get Murph's thoughts on the fact that the Rays are getting better as the Mets give up Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, not surprising. The writing was on the wall for the last couple of weeks. You know, they made a little run this weekend. They took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, and they won a couple more games, and then they just got swept by the Marlins. So, back to reality. We basically got 25 cents on the dollar, 10 cents on the dollar for Freddie.
Yeah.
Compared to what we gave up, Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams. Now, neither one of those players is particularly doing all that well with their new teams, so I guess on the bright side, the trade doesn't look too bad right now, but you give those guys up to get Freddie Peralta. You expect Freddie Peralta to be what he's been in recent years, and that's a top 10 pitcher in baseball, and he has been far from that. I don't think it's at all Freddie's fault. Like I said, I don't think our pitching development is very good anymore. It could have just been a New York thing. I was honestly surprised we didn't trade him back to the Brewers. It's sad. I liked the move for Freddie in the offseason. I think it was, it was an appropriate amount to give up for him. You knew it was going to hurt. You didn't think it was going to be this. Obviously, we expected to be competing for the postseason, and obviously we were not. We also expected Freddie to be who Freddie is, and he was the furthest thing from that. I hold nothing against Freddie. I wish him all the best. I don't know what the plan's going to be in the offseason. Maybe we try to bring him back on a cheaper deal. Who knows? But I doubt it. So I think that's going to be wraps on Freddie's Mets career. I'm not at all surprised there one bit. As far as Jose Soriano goes for the Blue Jays, I think that's a nice little move. He's a guy that kind of came, under the radar this year, and pitched really well for the Angels. And I think that's going to be a nice piece. You have him with Dylan Cease in that rotation, and they did just trade away Kevin Gausman last night. So I don't know exactly what their plan is. I'm thinking it sounds like they did it as more of a long-term thing because Jose Soriano is not a free agent anytime soon.
Yeah.
I believe he's still got at least 4 years of control. So that was probably more of a move for the future that they felt that, you know what, we can get this deal done. Let's do it. But I'm interested to see where that goes. But as far as Freddie goes, not surprising one bit. The writing was on the wall for the last couple months, and good luck, Tampa. Good luck.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Rays, who I got to see live, as I said, with my brother Jason within these last couple weeks, got to see their success that they had against the Guardians in 11-3 victory that night. And the Rays continue to rise here. They say raise up, and the light has definitely been shining on Tampa this season as they continue to move in a positive direction. The Rays are currently in first place, keeping the Yankees off for now. 2.5 games the Yankees are behind them. The Red Sox are 5 games back currently, and the Orioles 11.5. The Blue Jays 13.5 games behind as we continue here in the second half of the 2026 Major League Baseball season. Before we get into collegiate athletics, any final notes that we are to make here when it comes to the moves that have been made? And so the Yankees, the last one that I'll make here, and if Murph has another one to make, and obviously we'll talk about this, but the Yankees acquired Luis Garcia Jr. from the Washington Nationals in exchange for 4 right-handed pitchers. No left-handed. If there was a left-handed a part of this, they weren't going to do it. It wasn't going to happen. So I'm kidding, of course. But it's just funny how it's written as 4 right-handed pitchers as if it had to be that way. Giovanni Cruz, Jake Bird, Ben Grable, and Jack Siebert, are all going to the Washington Nationals to bolster up the future of their rotation potentially, while Garcia, an infielder, is going to the New York Yankees. Garcia is under club control next season, gives the Yankees a much-needed jolt as they are still navigating without Aaron Judge, as well as Cody Bellinger and Giancarlo Stanton. The 26-year-old from the Dominican Republic, speaking of Garcia, leads the National League in slugging percentage with an average of .560 and is batting .283 with a career-high 23 home runs so far this season, an .873 OPS, and an 100... I want to look at this a little bit deeper here for that number. But Ben Rice, an MVP candidate, is the only active player on the Yankees roster with better outputs.
Were you talking about OPS plus?
The WRC plus.
Oh, WRC plus.
Yeah.
That is an accurate stat.
Yeah.
That is absolutely an accurate stat. I looked it up last night because I didn't believe it either.
Yeah, 134 WRC plus in 104 games this season. And for those of you that don't know what WRC plus means in baseball, I will tell you. So in baseball, WRC stands for weighted runs created, an advanced metric that estimates a player's total offensive value in terms of runs contributed. It is usually seen as WRC plus, which is weighted runs created plus, which adjusts the value for ballpark effects and ERA. So the league average is 100.
Essentially, it means he's 38% better than the league average hitter.
So
it's a weird stat. There's some weird stats in baseball, man.
Baseball has only gotten... When I was growing up...
So WRC plus is kind of like FIP. So FIP, if you don't know, is fielding independent pitching. Basically, it essentially takes a pitcher and it factors in anything they can control. So like they can't control errors. They can't control misplays in the field. So it's like things that they can control. So fielding independent pitching is typically a more accurate stat to how to measure how good a pitcher is. WRC plus is kind of the same thing for hitters because it factors in ballpark, it factors in things that they're able to do based on a league average of 100. So basically telling us that I think Ben Rice was second, I think is what you said there, right?
So
And then Luis Garcia was third.
So Ben Rice is based on the metrics that we're seeing with Garcia, Ben Rice, who is the only active player on the Yankees roster with better outputs in, some of these categories here.
Oh, yeah.
But the weighted runs created, 134 in 104 games, and the league average, again, is 100. Yankees manager Aaron Boone said, quote, he rakes. He can really hit, end quote. So pitcher Garrett Cole of the Yankees said, it's one of the blessings about playing for the Yankees. The organization's always pushing forward and doing their best to improve the team whenever they get the opportunity to. As a Yankees player, it's just a beautiful position to be in. You can just trust what the organization has done over the years, end quote. Garcia has a career-high 76 RBIs this season as well, and so we will see how he is brought into this. While the Yankees have sought a right-handed hitter on the trade market, Garcia bats left-handed. Defensively, he primarily played second base over his first 6 major league seasons before moving to first base this year. The Yankees have Rice and Paul Goldschmidt, a potential future Hall of Famer, splitting time between first base and designated hitter. Jazz Chisholm Jr., a 2-time All-Star, is at second base. The Yankees could have Garcia start against right-handed pitchers either at first base or designated hitter, with Rice occupying the other spot until Giancarlo Stanton returns from the injured list. Goldschmidt, a right-handed hitter, has a .306 batting average and a .987 OPS against lefties this season, but he's batting just .201 with a .581 OPS against right-handed pitchers. Garcia is batting .325 with 20 home runs and a .918 OPS in 317 plate appearances against right-handed pitchers, and has a .218 batting average with 3 home runs and a .627 OPS against left-handed pitchers. Boone went on to say, quote, he's been a hitter who has really come of age this year. One of the best left versus right hitters in the National League. We think he fits our ballpark very well and should hopefully give a little jolt to our offense, which has obviously scuffled a little over an extended period, end quote. So we will see where they put Garcia between second base, first base, pardon me, I can't speak this morning, second base, first base, or designated hitter. I would imagine he'll be at DH with Stanton out so that you don't have to move Rice or Chisholm. But if he continues to hit the way he's hitting and have a career year for himself, I believe that the Yankees will find a place for him, obviously.
Oh, for sure. And one thing I want to think about, or I want to mention in this, not that they are the same player by any means, because, one was a catcher and one is, first base, second base, platoon type player. This move screams Brian McCann. Brian McCann was the perfect bat for Yankee Stadium. Dead pull hitter, pulls it down the line, and hit lots of home runs at Yankee Stadium. Luis Garcia is not exactly the same, but it's close. So, to me, it reminds me a lot of when Brian McCann was playing for the Yankees in the mid 2010s. But I think that's kind of a curious fit. But you can also keep in mind Ben Rice could catch if need be. Paul Goldschmidt's a guy that you can easily platoon with. He rakes against lefties, so you can platoon him. If you decide to have Ben Rice catch a few days a week, the days that he's catching, you put Luis Garcia at first base, or if it's a lefty, you put Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Maybe the days that Ben Rice isn't catching, play him at DH or he plays first. It's I don't know. It's a good problem to have if you're the Yankees. Ben Rice, I will say this right now, is a very good baseball player. I was skeptical last year. I was also skeptical of Cam Schlittler last year too, but we'll cross that bridge when we go. Well, I'm already being proven wrong on that one, but Ben Rice is a player that they could build around with Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
He kind of came in 2025 and he was a good, not great player, I would say. Maybe came on at the end of the year, and then this year he's been otherworldly. I'll use his card market as an example because it kind of gives you an understanding of his value. There were some autographed cards of him that I bought at the beginning of the year for $30-40 that are now selling for $200 or $300. That's how good he has been this year. So he's a guy that I can see being there a long time and, hitting right behind Aaron Judge or hitting right in front of Aaron Judge and, the Yankees being successful. Now, are they going to win the World Series this year? Who knows? But they've struggled without Aaron Judge. Ben Rice has kind of picked it up in his stead or in his absence. But I think Luis Garcia is a really nice piece to add to this team. They could use some more righty bats, but the trade deadline's not over. Trade deadline's not till 4 p.m. So there's still time. They could still go get a righty bat. But I think that was probably a case of best player available for them. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, even if he's not right-handed, everything else about him's great. He's a really good player. Let's go make the move and maybe see if we can get a righty bat elsewhere. And if not, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and again, having what you have against, certain pitchers to have the success that they've had. And I mean, going and getting somebody that's going to give you the success on the other side of it is a huge piece of this. So if you got guys that are good, left-handed guys against right-handed pitchers, then you go find a right-handed guy against left-handed pitchers and go make your hay. The Yankees are not that far away, as I stated, of the Tampa Bay Rays. I would feel good about saying that the Yankees will find their place into the postseason this season. And if Garcia can help them stay the course or improve what they're doing while they're waiting for some of these guys to get healthy again, all the more better for the Yankees. The Yankees proved last year that they could win and win big in a lot of situations without having one of their aces or their ace. And then, they've proven that they can win without Garrett Cole. They've proven they can win without Aaron Judge. And that just speaks to their depth. It speaks to guys that step up, the next man up approach. And it speaks to a team that may be better off than other Yankee teams in recent history, where those teams might have lost the ace or, lost a CC Sabathia or lost, a Jeter or something like that, and then could not figure out or find those runs somewhere else, find those hits, find those home runs from other people. So it says a lot about the Yankees to be in a place where they can lose the face of their franchise in Aaron Judge and lose their ace in recent history in Garrett Cole and still be a playoff caliber team. So shout out to the Yankees for the moves that they made, and shout out to the guys that have stepped up in ways that arguably are bigger than other times in Yankee history. And I hope that Garcia finds his way here, as I will find my way to the Subway Series coming up next month. And I want to see a good one at Yankee Stadium. So definitely looking forward to that. Murph and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around, we will round out today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by bringing you our thoughts on the current state of collegiate athletics. That's all coming up right after this. Stay with us.
The Big West, only the bold.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily?
Hello, this is Dylan Husted, the owner of the Baked Potato Express. We do mostly big festivals or big corporate like private events. Typically just big festivals such as like Taste of Syracuse, a food truck battle, Battle of the Wings. I do the state fair. They're ordering from a fresh food truck that is making real food and happy to make it and wants them to enjoy every bite. We season every potato before they go in the oven, and then they bake for an hour, and when they come out, we season them again after we cut them. We use real butter, real cheese, real ingredients, so it's all really good food and people love it. We have a lot of returning customers and regulars that we see very often. The customers really make a big impact, and this is a big food truck community. The events here are super busy. It's like in my blood. I like building things and creating stuff that people love, and me and my friends are the ones that run the truck, so it's kind of, we keep it's a tight circle in there, and we have like a family sort of oriented truck, and it's a lot of fun, and we have a good time doing it, and people love our food, so it ends up making it well for everybody. You can contact the Baked Potato Express at thebakedpotatoexpress@gmail.com or the Baked Potato Express on Instagram or TikTok. We are very happy to be partnered up with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as the exclusive sponsor of the Annoying Moment of the Week. And be sure to try DT's baked potato creation at all of our food trucks. The Baked Potato Express. Let's get baked.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for sales and service Monday through Saturday and all the time online at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. I'm here picture in picture with Murph. It is Monday, and we're here starting off the first full week of that month they call August. Happy to be here with you and having some fun as we get set to talk about some things going on in the world of collegiate athletics.
which thankfully has been so boring. There's been nothing happening. There's no issues. Everybody's fine. Obviously, that's
No,
a joke.
not at all.
So obviously, for those of you that don't understand what it means to be facetious and or to have a sense of humor or to be sarcastic, that is where we're at right now. So
I don't think people have a lot of that these days.
well, they're going to have to learn how to have it. I think the world will be a lot better if we laughed more. So here we go. The judge who granted the right to play another year of college sports to some athletes whose eligibility ran out last school year issued a new order Sunday that makes clear that the ruling does not include football players who signed pro contracts this summer, then had a change of heart. U.S. District Court District Judge Charlotte Sweeney responded to an NCAA request for clarity about her Friday ruling that granted a fifth year to athletes who graduated high school in 2022 and were not included in the new NCAA rule that allows 5 seasons of eligibility for Division I players. That decision, she said, still stands, but has no impact on other NCAA rules, including its prohibition on players signing pro contracts then coming back to college. The ruling, as first written, had the potential to upend the upcoming college football season, as teams are starting camp and planning on the so-called 5-for-5 rule to take effect beginning next fall, which essentially is a new rule the NCAA has done. This is what it means. I've described it on the show a bunch of times. If you're listening for the first time, here we go. The 5-in-5 rule is that instead of 4 years of eligibility, you will now have 5 years of eligibility, which means that whatever sport you play collegiately, you now have the opportunity to play 5 seasons as opposed to playing 4 seasons. There are no red shirts now. So you get an extra year, but you can't take a year and then push this and do that. You have 5 years to play 5 seasons. The clock starts on either the day you graduate high school or the day you turn 19, whichever happens first. You have 5 years from there. The only exceptions to the rule are supposed to be, and as I understand it, religious vocation, maternity leave, or military obligation. Those are the only ones, which is essentially giving an extra year of eligibility to every student athlete across all sports, and also preventing us from having players that are in school for 7 years, 9 years, or the record currently stands at 11 years that a student athlete has been around. Extending to its players this fall granted hundreds a chance to return to school. In the direct aftermath of the decision, some media reports were listing players on NFL and CFL rosters who were signaling that they'd be open to returning to school, which is insane. But that appears to be off the table after Sweeney's clarification that said there are no changes to the NCAA rules regarding pros, no exceptions over when athletes can enter the transfer portal, and no impact on elements of the landmark House lawsuit settlement, which dictates how many players teams can put on rosters and how much a school can pay them. The rulings out of U.S. District Court in Denver figure to impact sports differently. Football teams, for instance, have already started practice for the season, but baseball is not going to be starting currently, obviously, until the spring. In making decisions, teams figure to factor the NCAA's coming appeal of Sweeney's order and whether to risk bringing back players who could then be declared ineligible if her decision is overturned. NCAA President Charlie Baker issued a statement after Sweeney's initial ruling came out Friday, saying the ruling was potentially chaos-inducing and a reason Congress needs to pass the Protect College Sports Act. That bill being considered in the Senate includes lawsuit protection for the NCAA over eligibility rules, because the NCAA has been in court over eligibility concerns for individual players for many years now, and I believe they've lost many of them. Now, the likes of which they are defending in several courts around the country, as I just stated. So this is where we're at. So Charlotte Sweeney once again responded to an NCAA request for clarity about her Friday ruling that granted a fifth year to athletes who graduated high school in 2022 and were not included in the new NCAA rule that allows 5 seasons of eligibility for Division I players. Her decision still stands but has no impact on other NCAA rules, including its prohibition on players signing pro contracts and coming back to college. So this is where we're at. If a student, okay, I feel like this is what I feel like life has become in America. Please allow me a minute to gather my thoughts. America used to have this thing called common sense. I had a conversation with a person years ago who is no longer a part of my life for many reasons, one of them having to do with their philosophies, and that being the fact that they said to me, Dan, your problem with this world is you think that everyone has the same common sense as you, but everyone has different common sense. To which I replied, well, then it would be called uncommon sense and not common sense. Common sense would tell you that when you have left college, hired an agent, and are playing professionally, you cannot go back to college. That was common sense back then. Common sense would tell you that you had 40 years of eligibility, which is now 5, but it used to be 4. If you redshirted, you would be able to stay another year. If you got a medical red shirt, which was an individual waiver that you had to apply for, then you could gather another year. So, for instance, if somebody was in school for 6 years, they didn't play 6 seasons, they played 4. One of them would be a redshirt season, one of them would be maybe a medical redshirt season. The fact that I'm sitting here this morning discussing whether or not you can leave a professional team where you're being paid to come back to college because you think you'll make more money and maybe you're not playing on that NFL team. Like, think about that. Think about if you went undrafted this year in the NFL, made a roster, you're going into training camp, and the staff's got 9 defensive linemen, and you're the 10th one. So you call up Syracuse and you say, hey, guess what? I'm not going to play for the Seahawks. I'm going to come play for you. I made a prediction about 9 years ago that if the NCAA keeps going in the way it was going and not having firm decisions on things, different places getting punished different ways, really not having like a clear cut, if you do this, then this happens, showing favoritism, as well as putting the gavel down harder on other schools and institutions, that if they kept going in the direction they were going, by punishing some but not all for the same sin, and then punishing the sin differently depending on who they like or don't like or whatever that may be, that they would fail to exist or that they would be drastically different looking. Tell me where I'm wrong. We are now 9 years from that prediction. The NCAA has lost numerous cases. We are now paying college athletes. It is pay for play, so stop saying it's not. We are in a situation where student athletes...
Well, it's not supposed to be.
It's not
but
supposed
it is.
to be, but it is. Student athletes are staying in college not to get an education, but because they're going to make more money than they would make on a professional team or may not make a professional team. So again, it has become about the money. It is pay for play. They're not staying to get a degree. They're staying to make more money. I believe Shedeur Sanders was making more money than Brock Purdy when Brock Purdy was playing in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And Shedeur Sanders was playing for Colorado in college. So please tell me, in the essence of what amateur sports are supposed to be, and in the education component, and in the fact that student is before the hyphen, not athlete, where are we heading already with this train that has lost its brakes to now set that train on fire and tell an NFL player, hey, if it ain't working for you in the league and you still got eligibility and you left after 3 years and you got 1 more to go, 27-year-old, why don't you run right back over here to Nebraska and play for us? In what world can you leave a professional team and go play college sports? Like, I'm sorry. I mean, common sense. This country has lost its essence, its fiber, its foundation. When you walk into a building, you're not supposed to see somebody pooping in the lobby. We would consider that person to be crazy, off their kilter, maybe having a panic attack, maybe having anxiety.
They would be what's called an emotionally disturbed person.
Right. Okay? There were times where things were, to all of us, they made sense. Nobody wore tails in society. Just like foxes don't wear faces of humans, human beings didn't wear fox tails. There were times where life made genuine sense. Animals were animals, people were people, light was light, dark was dark. When the light flicked on, the room got brighter. When you flicked the light off, the room got darker. There were certain things that just made sense. Light versus dark. Animal, human. Pooping in a lobby, not pooping in a lobby. And now we are sitting here in a world, in an America, where this distortion of reality has now become, I can go to college, get paid to play, which takes away my amateurism, takes away my student, and simply just makes me a professional athlete. Then I can go to the pros, even though I'm already at the pros technically by getting paid to play. Then I can go to the pros. Then I can not like my situation and run back to college to, once again, not get an education, just be in a better situation and make more money.
Folks, we need to follow what golf does. Amateur players are allowed to play in professional tournaments. There's nothing wrong with that. And they can remain an amateur, even if they win. But they are not allowed to accept prize money.
No.
Remember a few years ago when Nick Dunlap, who was an amateur, who had won the United States Amateur, was going to be playing in the Masters and the U.S. Open, and he won a tournament on the PGA Tour as an amateur. First person to do it since Phil Mickelson in the 90s. He had a decision to make. Now, he was never getting the money either way. He was not going to make money. But for winning on the PGA Tour, you are automatically invited to be a PGA Tour member for 2 years. Guaranteed. Which means you get to be in 3 of the 4 majors, guaranteed. And you're able to participate FedEx Cup, this, that, and the other. You're a full PGA Tour member for 2 years. He could have turned that down and stayed in college to continue, to play in the Masters as with a chance to be the low amateur and this, that, and the other. There's a reason why golfers aren't always turning professional at 18 years old. Now they do. There are guys that have done it. Akshay Bhatia did it. Blades Brown has just done it. But you're going to see guys like Miles Russell, who's the #1 junior player in the world, who is going to go to college. He's going to Florida State. He's going to play for 2 or 3 years, hopefully maybe win a U.S. Amateur in the process, and then be on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
But these guys are not allowed to collect a check for playing. It is not allowed. Amateur athletes in general, as far as I am aware, are not allowed to compete. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Because as far as I'm aware, you are able to win money in amateur tournaments. You are not allowed to win money in professional tournaments. I don't know for sure if that's true. If there's a PGA Tour, or if there's a PGA professional that happens to be watching, please let me know. Because I don't know for sure. I believe that is the case. But I know they're not allowed to collect a professional check. Otherwise, they forfeit their amateur status. Part of the problem with golf, though, is that professionals can get their amateur status back, which I do think is a little bit wonky, which is the same thing that we're talking about with, guy goes undrafted, goes to training camp with the league, and then decides, I'm going to go back to college. That's not okay. That's something that I don't agree with at all. So that's the one problem that golf does have. But hey, if you want to, if you want to let them try out for those teams and they don't make the team and they want to come back to college,
yeah,
I guess I'm okay with that. Right? But if they get signed by one of those teams, regardless of whether they're going to make the team or not, you put pen to paper and sign a contract, you're done. Your eligibility is gone. Now, if you want to come back to college and play a different sport, by all means. J.R. Smith came back to college to play college golf. It's not entirely uncommon for that to happen. But you can't go back and play your sport once you sign a professional contract. That's it. You're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, and I don't disagree with you. Like, if you go out and you try to make a team and you don't make the team, I mean, then you're essentially in limbo. So I would be open to that. I would be open to somebody being able to come back to college and, play if they still have eligibility. If they don't, then no. But if you still have eligibility, to be able to come back, because, sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes you're given the wrong advice, and that happens. So I wouldn't want to just like leave somebody out there in the wild and say, good luck to you. Sorry you left and it didn't work out. So, I mean, I would like there to be an avenue, but if you're in the league and you're making money and you're on a roster, no. I mean, it's just, and look at what they already tried this with college basketball. They had a guy in the G League, which is the NBA's developmental league. You're one step out of, getting a contract to go into the NBA. And there's the two-way contracts that give you the opportunity. And so here's this guy who's playing professionally in the G League, one step away from playing for an NBA franchise. And then during the season, he goes and plays for a college basketball Division I team. It's ridiculous. And so fans were cheering G League dropout. And I mean, to me,
rightfully so,
that was a horrible thing that thankfully lasted, I don't know, a week or two, but it shouldn't even have lasted a little bit.
What school did he go back to?
This would be the same thing. So this was...
Because I remember this story. I just don't remember who or where.
Yeah, he went to, let me see here. I want to say...
Wasn't it like a decently
Alabama.
big school?
Alabama.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say, wasn't it like a decently big school? But yes, it was.
My head was telling me
that was ridiculous.
Yeah, my head was telling me Arkansas. That's why I wanted to check this. But yeah, so
same color, crimson.
Yeah, the guy's trying to go back and do this. Whatever. It's insane. It doesn't
I
make
don't
any
know.
sense. Makes no.
But the fact that he thought that was okay.
Well, the fact
How
that
does one think that is okay?
But it's whether or not you think it's okay. I mean, think about it like this. It's not whether or not it's moral or immoral, okay or not okay. It's if they let it happen, right? Because if I think it's okay and it's not okay, you know what I mean? It's like, but if they rule it to be, there's certain countries that allegedly, if you steal a purse, you get your hand chopped off. Now, I would think that's not okay, but that country thinks it's okay. So, I mean, just because it's a rule or not a rule doesn't make it okay or not okay. But we're in a place where, this stuff is happening because there's what we've essentially learned about the NCAA is that as big as their book of rules is, they really cannot enforce anything. That's the sad part. So who's going to enforce it? The Protect College Sports Act, they wanted Congress to get involved. Well, the Big Ten and the SEC. And what have I told you for years about the Big Ten and the SEC? I told you in 2020, 2021 time period that I believe the SEC could very well go form its own league. Then when the Big Ten added those West Coast schools, I adjusted that prediction to include the Big Ten based on that move and what I was seeing in reading the tea leaves and watching how the dominoes fell. They're not even hiding that they work together now because the Big Ten and the SEC have done something that other conferences are not doing. The Protect College Sports Act, the American Conference came out with a statement about how they felt about the act. The ACC came out with a statement. The Big 12 came out with a statement. The Big 10 and the SEC came out with joint statements that they were working together on. No other conference in America of 30-plus conferences came out with a joint statement with another conference. But the Big 10 and the SEC did. Because, as I've told you before, I believe that they are working together toward a plan for the future, whatever that may be. And now, they're not hiding it. They agreed this past Friday night, July 31st, to support a Senate bill that seeks to regulate college sports, ending a week of negotiations and pulling the bipartisan measure out of what looked like a potential bad place. School presidents from both the Big Ten and the SEC voted to back the bill after receiving last-minute concessions over language regarding third-party name, image, and likeness deals and the so-called quote-unquote associated entities that often broker those arrangements between players and schools. More details need to be worked out, but the bill still has a chance to earn the 60 votes it needs to halt debate and head to an up or down vote before the Senate heads for summer break this coming Friday. The summer recess is increasingly looking like an intractable deadline for the Protect College Sports Act, a bipartisan effort headed by Senators Ted Cruz of Texas and Maria Cantwell of Washington. It is bipartisan as Ted Cruz is a Republican and Maria Cantwell is a Democrat. After the conferences, which had balked at large sections of the bill, put out a short release announcing they supported the act, quote, as currently drafted, end quote, Cruz put out a short statement on social media thanking the leagues and saying, quote, let's save college sports, end quote. Maria Cantwell said, quote, good. Now progress can be made in protecting women and Olympic athletes and moving the legislation closer to the president's desk, end quote. Now, President Donald Trump has also been seeking fixes for collegiate athletics. We know that he put out an executive order. What people need to know is that signing of an executive order does not make it a law, does not put it into reality. It gives parameters and a suggestion, but the NCAA did not have to adopt any of it. So we do know that the president has been trying to do this and trying to help, and now we'll see what happens with the Protect College Sports Act. Cody Campbell, the Texas Tech regent who has played a big role in shaping this policy, called the SEC and Big Ten support, quote, a major breakthrough that moves us closer to a Senate vote and a better future, end quote. Now, let's take a look at what is within this. The groundbreaking part of the rework deal is the $27.5 million that schools would be allotted to retain players. God only knows where the hell they're going to get this money. In addition to the $21.3 million cap that already exists. It could represent a major reworking of the House settlement, the groundbreaking agreement that governs paying players. The idea is that the extra money will take the place of payments from quote-unquote associated entities that were allowed above and beyond the $21.3 million cap. It was those payments that many schools complain obliterated any idea of a cap or a controlled cost. The SEC and the Big Ten sought stronger language in the bill to guarantee that any third-party deals are truly outside deals and not coming from the school's multimedia rights partners, which currently arrange the majority of those deals. Among the questions still unanswered are whether the new cap will comport with the House settlement, which had specific instructions about the hard cap, 22% of a certain part of athletic department revenues, which equals $21.3 million this season. Also, what would happen to the College Sports Commission, the main NIL enforcement arm that spends the bulk of its time analyzing third-party NIL deals? Senator Tommy Tuberville, who used to be a head coach in collegiate athletics, and I interviewed him when he was the head coach of the Cincinnati Bearcats football program, is now a senator for Alabama with the Republican Party, has been an opponent of the bill since the beginning. Before the latest compromise, Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana, said, quote, as written today, end quote, the act, quote, creates chaos and eliminates opportunity for student athletes, end quote. Whether the SEC's approval is enough to get those senators and other from the SEC states on board is one issue. If the bill clears the Senate, it will still need to then pass the narrowly divided House, which flailed on another college bill called the SCORE Act for more than a year. There's also whether or not smaller conferences long in favor of the bill would remain so that their bigger competition is being allowed to directly pay players more than double what was previously allowed. So there's a lot that goes into this. Almost everyone involved in college sports agrees that the status quo isn't working. The news broke only hours after the NCAA lost a pair of key court cases involving its new rules that would give most Division I athletes 5 years to complete 5 seasons of eligibility. Using those losses as another chance to urge the passing of the bill, President of the NCAA, Charlie Baker, said, quote, it is long past time leaders across college sports call for the immediate passage of the bipartisan Protect College Sports Act, end quote. Dan Hurley, who's won 2 championships as the head coach of the UConn Huskies men's basketball program, said, somebody please come and fix college sports. It's a complete expletive show, he said, using an emoji where the expletive would have gone. And you know what that emoji is. It looks like pudding, but it's not. So I want to get your thoughts, Murph, because as I read through this, it continues to make no sense to me. The more I read, the more I don't understand what we're doing. So now we want to protect college sports by throwing more money at it? I mean, again, money is the root of all evil. Again, there's a reason why you can't take money to heaven. Again, there's a reason why you can't buy your way into heaven. Again, there's a reason why none of your possessions come with you to heaven. We are in a place right now where the amateurism is gone, the pay for play is a real deal thing, and the haves continue to have, the have-nots continue to have not. The conferences that had the money beforehand now can do all the things that used to be shady dealings. The conferences that didn't have the money beforehand can now not do any of the shady dealings. Those conferences that care about education are being left behind by conferences that just want to pay to win championships. And now we're looking at a bill that would take the House settlement and then give another $20+ million. Where is this money coming from? Who's expensing this? Who's paying for this? Who's creating this? And does that mean a school now has to come up with $50 million to put aside? Can a school like Syracuse or Wake Forest afford that within the ACC as opposed to a Florida State or a Miami?
The NCAA makes so much freaking money, man.
College sports. I didn't think we were giving more money to college sports.
The NCAA makes so much money that it almost doesn't matter. The TV contracts are getting out of hand. But ESPN and Fox and AB, they're paying it. And they don't care.
Yeah.
Because they know people are going to watch it no matter what. So realistically, you look at what... So what is it? $40-something million that these teams are going to get now.
It's 27.5 plus a 21.3, so it's almost 50.
Yes, almost $50 million that they can literally pay the players.
But the thing
which,
is,
mind you, the majority is going to be used in football and basketball.
But where is the money coming from? Each institution.
It's coming from the TV. It's coming from the TV deals.
But each institution.
But they're not all going to. I guarantee you, they're not all going to use it.
But you got to think about it.
Do you really
the
think
Big Ten's TV deal is $8 billion? The Americans' TV deal is not that. Conference USA is not. So you know what I mean? It's like you can't. There's conferences that are not going to be able to. They're going to have to supplement. And again, it's none of this is going to make anything better because the only way to truly protect college sports with a bill is to take the conferences that aren't making the TV revenue or making as much money and finding a way to even the playing field. Saying that you can have more money in your treasure trough doesn't mean anything to Conference USA, the American, the Sun Belt, the Horizon League, the Big Sky, because they don't have that money. So stating that you're going to allow more money to be spent doesn't help anybody. Essentially, we kind of came full circle to the salary cap and the salary floor conversation with Major League Baseball. If you want to protect college sports, you need to have a cap and a floor, not more money.
If you want to protect college sports, you get rid of that altogether just let these kids take money for being them.
Right, but
it should not be coming from the school. It should not be coming from boosters. If there is any sort of connection between where the money is coming from and the player that goes back to the school or a booster, that's it. The whole idea, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, and it's getting annoying that we have to keep talking about it, but bottom line is we do. NIL was put in place so that these kids don't have to give up their eligibility to choose between a YouTube channel where they're making 10 grand and playing college sports.
Yeah.
Those kids should be able to do that if they want. They're not getting paid by the University of Georgia or LSU or Clemson to come and play there. They're going to play there. They were recruited to go play there. But if they can make money on the side doing something else, signing autographs or whatever, they should be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That was the point of NIL. Not this. I have to stop myself from saying it because we'd have to bleep it out later.
Yeah.
Not this crap that we're seeing right now, where these institutions have $50 million that they can pay their players with. And for the record, teams in the Big Sky, the Big West, Conference USA, they don't have the money. That's the bottom line. It's for the SEC. It's for the Power Four. That's the bottom line. It's for the SEC. It's for the ACC. It's for the Big 12 and the Big 10. That's it. Those schools have the money.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Syracuse has the money. Vanderbilt has the money. All of those schools have the money. Cincinnati has the money. They all have the money.
Well, Syracuse, whether or not it has the money, or they're not known to spend they're not
going.
They claim the poverty. They claim
They
to be
shouldn't.
poor.
Can we please do what Indiana did this year? Recruit, develop, and win.
Right.
Indiana should be the team that makes people think and makes people remember that, hey, anybody can win a championship if you recruit right.
Well, they took a bunch of
Indiana
people
didn't
from
spend
James,
money on recruits.
They took a bunch of people from James Madison.
Yeah, they didn't spend a ton. Well, true. They came with Signetti.
But what I'm saying is that Signetti developed them
on those kids.
What I'm saying is Signetti developed them, and then they continue to develop with him at Indiana. He wasn't buying players from other teams. He was taking his kids he was developing and continuing to develop them somewhere else.
And yeah, and sure, does that suck for James Madison? Absolutely it does. But it's not like he went and grabbed guys from Alabama, like he went and grabbed guys from Georgia that didn't make the team that he's going to develop into stars.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza was nowhere to be found on draft boards going into last season. Nowhere to be found on Heisman Watch going into last season. Indiana, we talked about this from the year before. Indiana was irrelevant. They have been irrelevant for 60 years. They got the right coach in place. They got the right quarterback in place. They developed a great roster, and they went and won a national championship and went undefeated. That is, if that's not the best story in college sports in the last decade, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Honestly. So the fact that Indiana can do that, these other teams are able to do that, folks. Georgia, Alabama, you don't need to spend the money. They didn't spend the money, and you got your butts kicked. Freaking Notre Dame. Not Notre Dame, I'm sorry. Miami, who, according to some people, mostly Notre Dame fans, shouldn't have been in the playoff.
Yeah.
You and I will both agree Miami was not the second best team in the country this year. But they played well at the right time, and they earned it. But they were not the second best team in college football this year. That's just the bottom line. They were the runner-up, but they were not the second best team.
They played Indiana better than anybody else down the stretch.
They did. Like I said, they got hot at the right time. They did. I mean, I still think there are other teams that could have beaten Miami that they didn't play. But the bottom line is nobody beat Indiana. Indiana didn't pay a ton of money to go win a national championship.
Yeah.
It can be done. And if we just get back to the whole purpose of NIL in the first place and not paying these players, all will be well in the world. Seriously. We shouldn't be allowing Michigan to have Dave Portnoy step in and pay $6 million or whatever the hell he paid to get Bryce Underwood to come to school there. That should not happen. And if it does, the team and the program need to be investigated. But the problem is, now it's just allowed.
Yeah.
These kids are going to get a freaking salary. It is amateur athletics. This is not professional sports. What's next? Are we going to start paying high school players? Listen, these kids, if you want to give these kids brand deals, go ahead. College golfers are getting full staff contracts with TaylorMade, with Callaway, Titleist. College athletes are getting Nike shoe deals. They're getting Under Armour apparel deals. That's fine. Nobody's saying that you're not allowed to do that. That was the purpose of NIL. But what shouldn't be allowed, and what was never allowed under the rules at all until now, was these schools can directly give these kids money to come play there. That's messed up.
We're living in a place right now that was illegal. It was wrong. It wasn't going to ever happen. We were never going to see something like this. And yet here we are today. All of these things that I saw back in 2020 and 2021 that I was sitting here going, am I the only one that sees this? Do people not know what this is going to do? I'm sitting in a seat right now that 6 years ago, I was baffled by sitting in the same room in my studio saying to myself, how can we do this and think that we will not murder college athletics? And yeah, things are worse than I predicted. They're not better. But there were a lot of things that I saw. There was a lot of dominoes that I saw falling, a lot of conversations I had. I brought to current coaches, former coaches, athletic directors, people within the bowl system, my thoughts and ideas, my concerns. Not a single one of them said to me, you're crazy, you're wrong, it's not going to happen. Some of them said the conversations are already being had. The things you're talking about are already happening in rooms. Money. The root of all evil. Money. Not saying that a student athlete can't go and get an NIL deal, can't have a YouTube channel, can't brand themselves. But that's not what this is. It's what it was for about 14 seconds.
Yep.
When California passed the bill to force the rest of the country into submission, or else California was going to get all the players. When California passed the bill, the rest of the country was left scrambling. At the exact same time, there was a pandemic. And I have said this. Isn't it convenient and all too strange and ironic that collegiate athletics changed drastically in the midst of a pandemic, at a time where people were paying attention to anything but college athletics, wondering about the health and safety of them and their family, wondering if they can go outside? Would this have ever been passed, NIL and the transfer portal and all of these things? Would this have ever happened as quickly and as easily if not for a worldwide terror scare? All too convenient that college sports changed when people were looking at the ball over here and not looking at the storm that was on its way up the coast. I sit here today with you stating a reality that shouldn't shock you. College sports was attacked at a vulnerable time. The powers that be had an opportunity to stop it. They didn't. I still wonder how the NCAA has not been investigated and potentially brought to court over the forcing of 50 states to accept NIL during COVID. Because the last time that I had checked it, 9 states had a plan or the working of a plan. 41 either didn't have a plan for NIL or maybe they didn't agree with it. It was pushed so quickly and it was forced upon the country. How can the NCAA, as its own, as they call themselves, nonprofit organization, how can they tell 50 United States to do something right now? Nothing signed, nothing declared, nothing passed, just a declaration of California said yes to this, y'all better follow suit. How can the NCAA enforce that? Why did any state have to agree to it? And then each state has different taxes. Some states have no tax. So how does that work? Because a Tennessee quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, found out real quick, I'm going to make more money in California than I make in Tennessee. Bud. There's taxes in California you don't have to pay in Tennessee. So you might think you're making more money, you're actually making less money.
A lot less.
Then you have a state like New York that was potentially looking at, let's take the NIL and then let's up the ante and let's give them a percentage of the door. And then maybe California's looking at that. But maybe Kansas isn't. And maybe Utah isn't. I'm giving you an example here based on rumblings that I had seen. There's a disparity among states. There was a scramble to try and figure this out. Pandora's box was opened. Almost the majority of the country was unprepared for it. And then amidst all of this, the House settlement declares that you can spend money on players and you can pay them. That has nothing to do with them going and finding their own smoothie place or law office or wherever where they get to say, hey, I'm Dan Tortora and I'm here at Tropical Smoothie, which is what NIL was supposed to be. Now, I can pay you up to $20.5 million this past season. Now it's 21.3. So I can pay you up to 20.5. Now, some schools, some institutions, some conferences don't opt into this, so they don't have to give any money. They say to their athletes, you want to go get money? Go find the money yourself. Other conferences say, okay, we're going to accept the House settlement. The autonomy group, in order to have the settlement, had to accept it. So the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and the ACC all had to accept the $20.5 million that they could spend up to, but they didn't have to spend all of it. Then there's some schools within the conferences that are saying, okay, so there's NIL deals individually. There's the House settlement we agreed to of $20.5 million, and now we want to spend $40 million. So how do we find a way to navigate this where the kids are making their own NIL money, we're giving them money on top of that in the $20.5 million House settlement, and we're going to find a way to spend even more money and put that in that's not a part of the House settlement. So the schools that had $40, $50, $70 million to spend could spend it. And the schools that didn't even have 10 felt forced to spend something. And here we are today, now telling the disparity and the calamity and the confusion and the chaos, let's give another $27.5 million. Who in the F is going to give you that money? Where's that money coming from? Is the conference affording that? Because the contracts for TV are divvied up amongst these conferences based on output and sometimes based on what you do, like how many people are viewing and whatnot. So the Big Ten's not taking their $8 billion deal and divvying it up when they make about $1 billion a year and they're paying out $70+ million on average. They're not taking from that money because that's money that's already going. So now are you saying to a school, when you get that money from the Big Ten, you have to spend $27.5 million on the players? Because what if the school, God forbid, wants to repair a building? What if the infrastructure overall is not good? What if they want to expand? What if they want to build a new arena? What if they want to fix the sewage system? We've taken a system that did not operate off of money. We handed it an opportunity to make money, which was on the players to do with NIL. Then we put it on the school with the House settlement. Now we're putting it on top of by telling them that they could spend more money if they need to spend it. Plus we have these collectives and all this other stuff going on. And the College Sports Commission is trying to take care of all the third party stuff to make sure there's no nefarious things going on. We took a model and we overcomplicated it. The NCAA is $1 billion industry. Without the players, they make nothing. So the players deserve to have the right to make something instead of just being a slave to the system. I agree with that. But giving the players an education, knowledge, wisdom, God forbid, a class that they have to go to on name, image, and likeness, and giving them resources, avenues, knowledge, wisdom, and experience in the field of gaining, learning, and simulating what it could be like to be a part of this, in the classroom before you put them out into the world to go and do it and sign these contracts. Putting money into education would have been fantastic. Giving them the resources would have been fantastic. And then letting them go do it would have been fantastic. Now, all we've done is tell the schools with bank accounts to use them and the schools without bank accounts to pay into the house. Do you understand? And a lot of people don't know this. The house settlement doesn't just give a school an opportunity to spend money. The house settlement takes money away from conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a certain percentage of money that the NCAA pays out to every conference every year for being a part of the NCAA Division I that they're not getting as much money anymore because of the house settlement, because the NCAA agreed to pay a portion of it. And then you also have the race settlement, which the NCAA is paying into. So if you take a conference like the Big Sky, and I had Commissioner Tom Wistersill on the show, he's telling me there's a percentage of our money we're not paying as the Big Sky into something, but we're not getting paid what we were getting paid. So in a way, we kind of are paying into we're essentially paying into the Big Ten and the SEC and all these places to go and, we're paying into the chaos of sports. Essentially, he didn't say what conference and this and that. I'm making an example of saying the money's not going to them because the money's going elsewhere, which is ultimately hurting them. So you got conferences like the Big Sky saying, well, we're going to be $2 million short this year because of the house settlement. So in order to pay players and in order to spend all this money in the conferences that were already arguably potentially spending this money at some institutions behind closed doors, we now have to lose money. So all we did by creating this money system inside of collegiate athletics is we took what used to be a sanction, which used to be a punishment, which used to be against the rules, made it legal, punished the conferences that don't have the money, gave opportunity to the conferences that do have the money, and essentially made everything about money, not about education. And in order to continue to keep the system going, we have to keep throwing money at it, which I have warned you years ago that this money has to come from somewhere. It's monopoly money as far as I'm concerned, because some schools can afford it and some schools have nothing to back it. And I'm telling you this right now, if we keep going down the path we're going down, Syracuse, Wake Forest, they can't hang. Pitt cannot hang with Miami and Florida State. They can't. They can't hang. They're not going to be at Rutgers and Maryland. It cannot hang with Penn State and Ohio State. So the short answer of all of this is you threw money into the system, you broke it, and now you're trying to fix it by throwing more money into the system, which is just going to break it more.
Yeah, we're at the point now where we are one step away from this being professional sports, and the NCAA ceases to exist, and that would be a sad day.
But this is where we're at, and I can't say I didn't warn you. So with that being said, this has been Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Mr. Murph, DT and Murphy, coming to you this morning. And on the heels of announcing the Big West partnership with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, doing something unlike anything you've seen across the country from any company, as my multimedia marketing partnerships with individual institutions in collegiate athletics has given, in less than a decade, opportunities for me to connect in a very unique, innovative, and creative way across the country with schools in NCAA Division I, Division II, Division III, as well as the USCAA and the NJCAA. We've now taken that partnership and expanded it out to now cover an entire conference, and in this case, opening this conference partnership up to the world with the Big West, which hails from California as well as Utah, giving us the West Coast and pretty much the state of California here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. As we make history, we look forward to what that will be for each and every single one of you. We welcome all of our West Coast, Midwest, and East Coast listeners and viewers, as well as those of you around the world. Thank you for your patronage to Wake Up Call and to Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. I can promise you, we've only just begun. Any final words, Murph?
A couple actually. Before we jump out of here, Two things. Number one, well, I was actually at the National for a couple days this week.
Yeah.
There is something I want to pass along. There is a video going around on social media right now. If you know anything about these two, please let your local authorities know. There was a father and son that stole a $15,000 card straight out of a showcase at the National.
Oh, wow.
I kid you not. Showcase was unlocked. They opened the showcase, took the card, and walked away. So, and there's a very, very clear video of it. It could be his grandfather, but it's probably at least the kid's dad. Kid's wearing an orange shirt. Dad has a backpack. Look up the video. It is all over social media in the card world. If you know anything about these two knuckleheads, please reach out to somebody. Reach out to your local authorities or to the local authorities in Chicago. And I'm sure I know there's a reward going for any information towards those guys. But if you know them, please let somebody know. Secondly, there's some cards I picked up that I want to show today.
Yeah.
They are sitting to my left. So these are just some of the big ones some of the ones I picked up at the National. So as you guys know, I'm a big Mets fan. I have been looking for the right Juan Soto Mets auto for a while, and I have found one.
I'm going to brighten up your screen so we can see it. Hold on 1 second.
So this is from Museum Collection. It is the framed. It's the really heavy gold frame auto in gold ink, no less.
Yeah.
It is numbered to 10. I picked that up actually from, if you know Sports Card Investor, his shop, Cards HQ. Picked it up from his shop, which was kind of cool. There was so much golf on the floor of the National, and I had to pick something up of the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. This is on when is it from? The card itself is from 2001, but it is the 1986 Masters Collection, the Golden Bear. This is a signed copy, signed by Jack Nicklaus himself, in a BGS Authentic. It was one of those where, like, when I saw it, I kind of had to have it. So it wasn't a crazy expensive card, but that was one that I had to have. Another one that I picked up, not necessarily looking for it, but I sold a bunch of cards, had some money laying around, and was like, I'd love to try to find one. And a friend of mine found it at a booth, so we went over there to see it. This is a first Bowman auto from 2016 of Juan Soto. Let me raise it a little so you can see the auto. But
nice.
it's a PSA 9. Juan Soto first Bowman auto. Pretty darn cool. I've wanted one of these for a while. I just haven't really had the desire to grab one and spend the money, but I actually made a trade for it and did pretty good with that. The next one is a card I specifically went out to the National to buy. I had to sell a couple cards in order to be able to afford one, but I was able to pick one up, and it is a really nice copy of it. Very well centered. It is from 1979 O-Pee-Chee, the great one, Wayne Gretzky.
Very nice.
That is his rookie. It's a PSA 4. It's really, really well centered. The copies that were selling for less than I paid for this were very off-center. So as far as a 4 goes, this is in great shape. Really happy to own this one. I don't think I'm going to sell it yet. I'm probably going to hold on to it for a while. And the last one here, again, I could have bought one of these at the National last year for $700, and I said no. I paid a lot more than that to get this one. This is 2000 Bowman football of the greatest player to ever grace a football field, Tom Brady. That is a PSA 6. I actually forgot one.
Okay.
There's another card. I got 2 of them.
That's crazy.
So this one, and I know it's this one because of the card and the cert number. This one here in the red case, this is the one I bought first. I bought this one for myself. I'm not planning on selling this anytime soon. I might, if it goes up to $4,000, I might. But I had no plans on selling this one. This one, at the end of the show, I kid you not, I was getting ready to leave for the airport. I had the Uber called. I was probably leaving 10 or 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
Friend of mine I knew from home had one of these, wanted to move it. So I said, hey, it's not quite as nice as the one that I bought. I'll give you $100 less than I paid for the other one. And we did a deal, and I came home with two. So this one is for sale. The other one is not. Tiny little corner issue at the bottom here. That's the main reason it got a 6. This one legitimately looks like it should have been graded higher. This one is in phenomenal shape. So, maybe I look into the possibility of seeing if I can get that graded up, upgraded to like a 7.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to pick up a Bowman Brady, and what's crazy is I found one, made the deal, and it was really cool. And then the second day that I was there on the Thursday, all day I was like, I need to find an O-Pee-Chee Gretzky. I need to find an O-Pee-Chee Gretzky in a 4, in a 3 or 4, because I almost bought a 3 at trade night the night before. Didn't end up getting a deal done, but I found a 4, worked with the guy on the price, and we made the deal. So I was happy to make the deal, get the deal done on it, and really cool cards to own. I don't know how long I'm going to own them for, but the one of the Brady's I want to keep as an investment card for a while. And then the Gretzky, same thing. I'd love to keep those as investment cards for a while, because I don't think Gretzky's market has gone up the way some of those other guys have. Some of the other GOATs have, like Jordan and Brady and et cetera. But wanted to show those off. Just proud to have those in my collection. And do I keep them forever? Who knows? But they're definitely a lot less risky than buying Jackson Dart or guys like that. And yes, folks, I followed my rule. I sold all my Jackson Dart. I didn't buy any. I sold all my Cam Ward. I sold all my Tyler Shuck. I didn't buy any of them.
Yeah.
I followed my rule, and I encourage you all to do the same.
Well, and speaking of quarterbacks, I got these a while ago when I opened something with Josh, but I wanted to share them as they were pretty cool here. So a rookie card Topps Chrome of Shador. That's a little shimmer refractor here.
Pulsar, or not an X-Fractor. Maybe like a Pulsar refractor is pretty darn cool.
And then I got
your boy,
the turquoise numbered refractor here of Riley Leonard.
I saw some high-end Riley Leonard at the National, man.
I got
I saw a couple 4-figure Riley Leonard cards that were there. That was interesting.
And it goes with my Riley Leonard auto of his first ever card. So not only is this his autograph, but it's his first card, the Bowman first. And of course, those of you that know, I consider Riley a friend, and knew him when he was a young teenager trying to figure out where he was going to go to school, hailing from the great state of Alabama, choosing between Duke and Syracuse, chose Duke, then worked his way to becoming a starter, and then went on to Notre Dame, and from there to the NFL, to the Indianapolis Colts. So shout out to Riley. Also really cool was that my godson, who had never been to a sports card shop before, and I brought him to GG Cards and Breaks, he opened his first pack that was guaranteed an autograph. The autograph he got, Riley Leonard. So pretty cool. And that was Notre Dame Riley Leonard. So pretty awesome there coming from that pack. With that being said, I hope you had fun at the National. Appreciate you sending or showing us all of the great stuff that you have, and congratulations to your collection for what you brought in. And may we always know, folks, when it comes to a card show or anything, please have morals, please have etiquette, please have conscious consideration for other people. And there's a reason why God wrote 10 commandments, and one of those 10 is thou shalt not steal. Thank you, Murph, for your time.
Of course. Let's find those two people and make sure that they make sure that the dealer gets their car back and make sure that they are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I don't care that he's a kid.
It's interesting, this father and son dynamic with some of the stuff that's happened here. So hopefully everything will be returned to the rightful owner, and we will have parameters put in place where people know that there's consequences to their actions.
Thankfully, there's a lot of cameras around.
Yeah. Well, Murph, we will talk with you soon. God bless as always, and say hi to the family.
Will do, my friend.
Take care. And coming from Murph, once again, DT and Murphy coming to you Mondays on Wake Up Call. We've had a couple weeks off as I have been traveling in my coverage of the bringing back of collegiate football, as college football is back on its way here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Very much looking forward to the return of college football, which will be here later this month, and appreciate you all for being with us and following my coverage of the Big 12, the ACC, and the American in my conversations with student athletes and coaches, as well as my conversation with the executive director of the College Football Playoff, Rich Clark, and with the representation of the Orange Bowl, as well as the Cotton Bowl and the Peach Bowl. With that being said, thank you for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.mixlr.com. However you're connected with the show, I appreciate you so very much for being a part of Wake Up Call. And of course, you can find us on YouTube.com /WakeUpCallDT with all of our channels, as well as on these wonderful podcasting outlets on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, many thanks to our incredible team in Central and Upstate New York. Proud to be with Great Lakes Honda City, as well as the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, the Baked Potato Express, Gray's Craze at Clay, New York, Skippy's Ice Cream, Canine Camp, Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Game Point Sports Complex, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, and the Mother's Cupboard, as well as being the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Bearcat time is every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, here with your Bearcat student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show throughout the years here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, bringing you the Bearcats in a way that you won't find quite like this anywhere else. Find it all on youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you can also find the Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel. The Bearcats are also on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to BinghamtonBearcats.com and go Bearcats. I want to thank Murph for being a part of the show. I want to thank the Big West for making history with me and being happy to officially bring them in to a broadcast of Wake Up Call this morning. We will round out today's show by giving you that showcase of the Big West one more time.